All right, we are live. All politics are local. America's number one political hip hop radio talk show. We are here today. If it's the fourth Friday, you know it's the disciples. We have Minister Muhammad here with us right now. We also have Zaid on as well. Zaid Muhammad on, the legendary activist. We
Infamous.
have uh, we have Minister Muhammad on, one of the disciples, been with us for years and years, spreading wisdom every chance he gets, man. And I appreciate him. I haven't seen him in a long time, so we greeted each other. We're like, hey, man, hey, because it's been a long time. So, man, very, very happy to see you. I've been away a lot. I've been traveling a lot with debate. So, like, a lot of times I'm not even around. So, we are going to get started right away and get you into it. But thank you. And the disciples.
As we say in Chicago,
Man,
let's ride.
I'm so happy to again to see you, brother Jonathan and brother Zaid. I'm always so happy to see you, your smiling face, dear brother. This evening, brother Ed will not be with us as he customarily is. We thank him and his wife, Sister Kim, who are always here helping and supporting all politics local and specifically this portion of the show, the disciples, God willing. Our wonderful, wonderful sister, Reverend Roundtree, will be joining us shortly. I see
Here
her
she come.
coming
Here
in
she
now.
come. Here she
All praise due to Allah. She's always so busy, always on the run. But I want to thank each and every one of you, those who are in the listening audience, for being with us. Again, another Friday. We really appreciate your support. And we thank you for your steadfastness, your commitment, and your dedication for being here with us. Again, my name is Brother Haqq Muhammad. I'm the student minister of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for the Muhammad Mosque of Islam, number 25, which is located here in the city of Newark, New Jersey. And again, as I was saying earlier, I just want to thank everybody in the listening audience for your dedication and your commitment, your concern, always reaching out, and your support, always being with us. We've been here for several years, and by God's grace, we're still here. So we thank you all. And again, we thank Brother Ed, who was the visionary. He had this thought in mind, and by God's grace, we've been here doing it. We want to thank Sister Ali, the wife of our dearly departed brother Reverend Ali, the pastor of the hood, which we all know. May God forever be pleased with him. I don't think she'll be joining us this evening as well, but we have an action-packed show for all of us. So much to talk
Yes, we
about, so
do.
much to discuss. We want to thank all of those who supported our beloved mayor and friend Ras Baraka, who ran a heaven of a campaign. Him, his wife, all of his supporters and constituents, and those that rallied, and those that helped, those that supported, those that voted. Our brother did something that was very unprecedented here in the state of New Jersey and running for governor. But God is great, and He's with him and his family, and we pray that Almighty God, Allah, continue to protect him and his family and keep him strong, and keep those of us who support him and will continue to support him strong. But again, thank you all for being with us. I heard that wonderful voice, Reverend Roundtree. Is that you?
It sure is. I can't come on the screen at the moment.
It's okay,
I am
sister.
truly in a
It's
location, but I
okay.
was
It's
not going to
okay.
miss
It's
our
okay.
opportunity to be with my wonderful
It's okay.
sergeant at arms, the one and only Minister Jonathan. Listen, and I
That's
am
right.
excited because my minister is back in the house. Minister Haqq Muhammad, speaking truth to power, and none other than our warrior, our true advocate. We talked about an activist. We talk about our own brother, a street doctor. They say was the original street warrior. But Lord knows, while he was becoming the street warrior, you was already in the street activating our minds along with so many of the others. I'm gonna be on the screen in a minute, but this is what I want to tell you all. This is Reverend Louise Scott-Rountree coming to you on All Politics and Local, where the visionary brother Ed had a conversation with Minister Muhammad. At the time, his name was Minister Jackson, and he had a vision, and the vision turned into being the disciples. So we thank God for the memory and the spirit of Dr. Brian our lead pastor in the hood. We thank God for the opportunity that when the vision came forward by All Politics and Local, America's number one hip hop political radio. Y'all already know, Brother Johnson, what I'm gonna say. This platform that allows us to be able to share as the disciples. Thank you, Minister Abdul Haq, for letting me be a part, choosing, letting Allah, letting God put in your spirit to let this sister be a part of this awesome movement on the air. I'm
Thank
excited
you.
about it.
Thank
And
you.
you too. I did all the words of what you stated regarding the one and only Honorable Raz J. Baraka, Mayor for the city of Newark. Listen, he is my governor. Listen, because they can't do nothing without him. And like I'm not ashamed to say that when you come in with the numbers he came in with, I don't like to say one or two. When you come in with the numbers he came in with, that's a force to be reckoned with. It is. And it's only fair. It's only fair. Even though we know they say favor ain't fair, favor to me is fair. Because if I got favor, that means that God was fair. And God is a fair God, a just God. So I just thank God that he came in where he came in. That's not what we foresaw, but we already know that the conversations for our people, all people, with all that's going on in the world, what's going on with my sister, Lamonica McIver, a congresswoman, what's going on with some of our brothers throughout the community, what's going on in this world right now in Iran and all of these countries, all this stuff that's going on right now. Listen, I tell folks, if we take care of our backyard and our homes, I promise you, while we're working on taking care of what we got to take care of, it'll make it better for what they're trying to do to us. Because we taking care of our own. We putting our own stuff together. So
Yes, ma'am.
self-determination starts. Y'all know, the seven principles, Brother Bible.
Yeah, that's right. It start with
That's
need,
one of it.
purpose,
The
purpose,
purpose.
purpose,
Purpose.
purpose. And we know Reverend
Yes.
Roundtree, as it reads in the Bible in the book of Proverbs, where there is no vision, the people perish.
That's right.
And we
And lack of
think
knowledge.
that's
Listen,
right.
lack of
That's right.
knowledge
That's
causes
right.
people to perish.
That's
Perish. We
right.
better get out here and get to know what we need to know that we know, not what we hear. Because, and this is, you'll often hear me use this. Just because you have the knowledge of something doesn't mean it's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Yes,
because
ma'am.
you say, I know, like I know your name is Minister Abdul Haqq Muhammad. You can tell me when you were born, but unless I see your birth certificate, that don't mean it's a fact.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
just saying. So even when
No.
you say you know something, you have knowledge of something. Knowledge of self comes first, and
Mm-hmm.
then what do you say? What would you say? Would you say evidence, receipts, making sure that when you
Yes.
doing your research that you don't go to Wikipedia before you have a conversation. Okay.
Yes,
Anyway,
ma'am. Well, as I eat,
the man's having his men's
yeah,
meeting
yes,
tonight as
ma'am.
we
And
talk.
as Zaid,
Over
brother
Central.
Zaid, know that we are people that has been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led
Yes, Lord.
astray, and run amok for a very, very long time.
Yes,
So,
Lord.
we have to be very, very careful in terms of the information that we receive and our level of scrutiny when we get the information. And we know that many of these media outlets, they have not been our friends. These periodicals, these newspapers, they have oftentimes misconstrued and mischaracterized many of us, many of our great leaders, those that fought for freedom, many of our great revolutionaries. That has always been an issue in our community in terms of being miscategorized, being slandered, being defamed, and so many other things that many of our great leaders, men and women, have suffered in trying to get us freedom, justice, and equality. So, as you said, Reverend Roundtree, we know that there's a big rally happening in Trenton tomorrow. Is that correct? I don't know, Brother Zaid, will you be there? I know the mayor will be there. Reverend Al Sharpton will be there. Sister LaMonica McGyver will be there. So many others will be there. That's tomorrow, correct, Brother Zaid? It's
Yeah,
dealing with the
I won't
Black
be there. I have
agenda.
my hands tied up already on some other things
Okay.
around our political prisons, but it is tomorrow. You're talking about the unity rally that's being pulled together by some clergy elements. that will feature the mayor and someone very close to me from my hometown, Reverend Charles Boyer, among others. Yeah, that is definitely happening tomorrow.
And
Hakeem
what's the unity
Jeffries.
rally? The unity rally. What is it? What's the focus?
It did well on the flyers. It looks like it's centered around the Black agenda. That's what it says. I'll be off screen, but you can hear me, Brother Jonathan. I'll read it very quickly. It talks about statewide meeting for the Black agenda. Again, that's tomorrow, June 28th, 12:30 p.m. Eastern, at the Greater Mount Zion AME Church, 42 Pennington Avenue, Trenton, New Jersey. That's 42 Pennington Avenue, Trenton, New Jersey. That's the statewide meeting for the Black agenda. Reverend Roundtree, Reverend Roundtree. I don't know if you can mute. If you can mute a brother, Jonathan. So that's tomorrow.
No, she's. Oh yes, I got you. I got it.
I know. I don't
Yeah,
All right.
could you mute it?
Yep.
Okay,
She realized she was, yeah, right.
there we go. So yeah, that's tomorrow, brother Jonathan. Again, that's Trenton, New Jersey, Greater Mount Zion AME Church. We know
That's
Brother
Reverend Boyer's
Charles.
church. Yes,
That's his church,
yes, yes.
Brother
That's Reverend
Zaid.
Boyer's. Yes, sir.
Okay, we know he does a lot of great work for our people in Trenton and all throughout New Jersey and all throughout the country. He definitely an advocate of freedom, justice, and equality. So again, that statewide meeting for the Black agenda, Saturday, June 28th, 2025, it's 12:30 p.m. Greater Mount Zion AME Church, 42 Pennington Avenue. That's Trenton, New Jersey. It'll be Reverend Al Sharpton will be there. Mayor Rash J. Baraka will be there again. Reverend Charles Boyle will be there. Also, Congresswoman LaMonica McGuire will be there. Also, Congressman Hakeem Jeffries will also be there, and Dr. John F. Harmon Sr. will be there as well. So that's tomorrow at 12:30, Trenton, New Jersey.
Okay.
That's
Let's
tomorrow.
in this right. Like I don't know. I haven't been following a lot of the politics. I've been in and out and working on various stuff for work. But after the election, it seems like there should be a lot of focus, not necessarily on giving the mayor a position, but on backing the mayor's positions. Is there any word on Sherelle reaching out to the mayor on some of the important positions that he has, that he ran on, that were popular, that got a lot of votes? Like if you combine the mayor's votes and Phillips' votes, the progressive votes outweighed everybody. They outvoted everybody, including Sherelle herself. The mayor did incredibly well in terms of getting a huge chunk of voters when he did not have the establishment backing him. Have you heard about the Democratic nominee reaching out, starting to embrace many of the concerns that Baraka spoke to that impact all of our urban areas, but actually impact the entire state as well? Has there been word of that?
I haven't heard anything thus far. I don't know, Brother Zaid. Maybe your ears more to the ground than mine in that realm, but I haven't heard anything publicly, privately, even in reference to her. Um, you know, I didn't hear much in reference to her prior. While it was going on, I've seen some ads. I've seen some campaign things, but I didn't see much of her. I didn't hear much of her. I don't know, maybe because where I am, I just didn't see much of her. And I know the mayor can have such an overwhelming presence. His charisma. I'm closer in proximity to him. Have a more of a working relationship with him. But I don't know. I didn't see much of her. Haven't heard much of her. Of course, the debates and things of that nature, but outside of that, I haven't seen or really heard anything in that regard, brother Jonathan. I don't know, maybe brother Zaid.
I think that
We both have heard a whole lot from a lot of people. I gather because Brother Baba and I are out like on the front on a bunch of fronts.
Hmm.
Can you guys hear me?
We
We
can
hear
hear
you.
yeah,
you.
Can you hear me? Do I
Yeah,
sound?
we
Am I
hear you.
good?
we can
Yeah,
hear
we
you.
can hear you.
It's not working.
You can hear us.
Yeah, maybe she can't hear
All
us.
right, I got bad
Uh,
bad
we can
connections.
we can
Oh,
hear
I'll
you.
come back in, Roundtree.
Oh, good. Okay. So I'm gonna try to hold the phone because in about 5 minutes I'll be on the screen. But it is so sad that with all the messaging and all that we're going through nationally, that we can't focus enough locally to understand that what I said earlier, taking care of home first. We know all of these individuals that were on the platform. As the mayor said before, and he said it over and over again, that by the time we got to closer to the election date, that there would have only been two candidates. Somebody would have
Hmm.
made a decision already. And some of y'all got to go. But the line is gone. They got all the way to the end, and I don't know that they thought he wasn't going to do as well as he did, and that he had gained as much momentum as he did, and that how they would choose. Um, I really don't want to say it, but I'm going to say it. Choose the young lady of the Lord. I'm normally not lost for words, but that they would choose her over someone with the knowledge of what to do with our state and the state of the state currently. Someone who's going to stand up to national representation is not representing nothing but danger, because these people are dangerous down there. They're dangerous in Washington, and we have to make sure that the residents of the state of New Jersey, now we got to play not chess, not checkers, but chess, almost a monopoly game. Forget chess, because if people don't know what they're doing, now you got somebody down there don't know what they're doing. Somebody running the state, they don't know what they're doing and need your help. But that's who people chose. It's and yeah, we heard of her. We did, Jonathan. Not thoroughly answering your question, but it. Oh God.
Well, let me ask you something, Reverend Roundtree, and
Mr.
getting to
Abdul said
Jonathan's
he's
question.
connected. This Black
Did
Agenda
you?
meeting that they're pulling together really was supposed to be another type of meeting.
Well, Reverend
Oh
Roundtree,
But
Zaid,
shoot.
did you hear of her
Yeah.
prior to this race? Did you know of her? Was she popular?
Okay.
Brother Zaid,
She is
even you, Jonathan, I didn't really know
Oh,
her in
sure.
depthly or had heard of
No.
her.
Heard of her.
yeah, I'm very familiar with her. But I just thought it was a terrible miscalculation by Democratic Party leadership in the state, Black Democratic Party leadership, by the way, to just jump out in front so early in that conversation and endorse her without a full
Very terrible.
examination and treatment of everybody who was on the table. Uh,
Hmm.
and I mean that on two fronts. I mean that with the Democratic Party. Also mean that with and Jonathan, holla if you hear me, with NEA. All right, though he's no longer a fact. As far as I'm concerned, he never was a real fact other than the money that was put behind it.
You
But I
talking
thought,
about NJEA?
yeah, I thought it was unprincipled for them to come out and for Sean Spiller without a conversation that included the mayor, right? But and the mayor outdistanced both of them, right? But yeah, Mickey Sherrill is a Clinton Democrat who's been a decent presence in Congress. That's another conversation that needs to take place if she wins, right? Who's going to replace her? Who's going to take that seat? Uh, That's going to be that's another important conversation to look forward to.
Zai, I think you froze.
Oh shit!
I think he flew.
Yeah,
Yep,
can you see now?
He froze too. Like
we can hear
There
you
you
now.
go.
we all over the place.
Not in
And
the
because we keep freezing.
not
There
in
you
the
go. Finish
full
it up, Baba.
way that she should have at this point, in my modest judgment. It's very clear that she is not going to win without him. And I think one of the reasons why this particular gathering is important is that
He froze again. Yeah, you on mute? You on mute, brother
Yep,
Jonathan?
This
Zai, got you
conversation,
again.
I'm gonna pick up where
Oh,
he
there you
left
go.
off. This
All right,
conversation
Zai,
is
you got it?
important.
let me go back. Let
It's
me go out and come
important.
back. Man. I know it's
Hello.
going.
Yeah, we can hear you, Reverend
Okay.
Roundtree.
Go Roundtree.
Okay. The reason are you back, Baba?
Yes,
Okay, go ahead.
but go
Let
ahead,
her go.
finish it
No,
up,
let her
brother
go.
Zai.
No, he's gonna go back and come back in,
Yeah.
and so
Okay.
Okay.
it's on you.
So the reason why this conversation is important, it was supposed to happen on another level, and then the trajectory changed and the dynamics changed, um, and now the conversation I'm sure is going to be different because when people have conversations about what they're going to do in Washington to us, we find out about it when it hits Twitter or Channel 7 News. We have
Mm-hmm.
not learned yet how to, well, yes, we have, to strategize, organize, and then implement all at the same time. If we're going to come up with a strategy, organize how we're going to implement that strategy, and then go ahead and make it happen without any space in between. By the time we find out what the counterparts or the clear folk or whatever, the white supremacists, the fascists, by the time they do their plan, it's already on the news and we're reading and hearing about it. So some of our planning has to be done a little different. But in this case, because it has now been everyone, it's open to everybody to come. We don't know who's gonna be in the room, but we know that we're not afraid, and especially with people like Dr. Charles Boyer in the room. I am a true um, a friend and sister to this brother because he is one who definitely does not hide behind his blackness. He's truly about salvation and social justice, which is his organization. With people like the mayor and him, and then with the two sisters, Bonnie Watson Coleman and Congresswoman LaMonica McIver, and then the message is going to come from Hakeem. We're going to hear some powerful stuff tomorrow.
That's
I
right.
think the next agenda that we discussed, we got that Minister Haqq Muhammad in the room on the
Yes,
panel.
man. Let me
On
ask
the
you
panel.
something, Reverend Roundtree. So, no, go ahead, brother Jonathan. I don't know if you wanted to add in. I know your initial question. If
Yeah,
maybe
like
brother Zaid and Reverend Roundtree want to add or speak to that in specific.
I think that like there's a lot that the mayor ran on. There's a extensive platform, and I hear that when she's reached out the next day, she said she needed help with maternal health and she needed help um, with getting doulas and the issue of Black women's maternal health. And that's nice. That's cool. That's important. But the mayor ran on a lot. And I think that what white liberals have to be careful of, because they've already stepped a lot of bounds, right? Like during the course of the election, when none of them talked about interest of, or very few talked extensively about interest of Black communities. And when Sherelle did, uh, it was off, as in she talked about third grade reading scores and generational wealth when the mayor did a great job of structural analysis correcting him and being like, no, that is not, that might have to do with income at some point, but generational wealth, there are a lot of literal barriers to participation in long-term wealth generation, home ownership, all of those things that has nothing to do with third grade test scores, right? That's the debates that start getting into what is the reason for the wealth gap and how do you deal with the wealth gap, right? Those are economic questions. Those are questions about the structure of way New Jersey is structured. The mayor got into all of that, and I would be rather disappointed. And honestly, um, I don't think that she will be able to win unless she starts to learn how to deal with issues that are comprehensive for our community. I think that maybe I don't know exactly what the Unity Rally is about, all the things that it's about, but I think that the one main thing would be for all the politicians who gave this blanket endorsement of Sherelle. I have no idea, like, I honestly have no idea why they endorsed her. I don't know, right? Like, I don't know what the issue is. I don't know what she will do for our communities that's better. And he's
I'm
not
supposed
Trump.
to.
Is not Trump's not running, right? The Republican isn't Trump. Trump's not in the race. And if you're saying that, like, yes, it may be better under her than the Republican, that's not enough if she doesn't plan on doing anything. If she plans on making these structures bad, like this is not a time where the lesser of two evils works, because we don't even know what's going on with either
You are
of the candidates
1000% correct.
as they deal with our community. So if they want,
You are
the
one.
only way,
Yeah.
right, because the Democrat can't win with the white vote. White people don't vote Democratic like in majorities, and that's been true of the last 20 years of elections, where the majority of the white vote in New Jersey went to the Republican, whether or not the Republican won or lost. The majority of the white vote went that, and that's been true. And that's been true in pretty much every statewide election, and it's been
Are
true of
you?
all federal
Oh, wait
elections.
a minute. Anthony Smith's been waiting to come in for a minute. Did you
Okay,
see him?
yes, we got him. We'll put him right in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
we
supposed to be on
He
the
apologize.
is.
sixth. Oh.
We
He is not.
apologize, Brother Anthony. We was just going. We apologize. I didn't know that
Absolutely. And
he
tell him
was
to come
waiting
back
on.
on, because we'll put him right back in.
Man, tell
Oh
him we
no.
apologize,
Okay.
Brother Anthony. We was just going. I didn't know he was on. I was waiting for him to come on.
All right, my apology in terms of me noticing him back there. Tell him to come back on, and we'll put him right in.
You did just come off your honeymoon, Brother Jonathan. So you get that, brother. You get that.
I
That's
You
right,
appreciate
got
it.
some
I
brother.
moving to
appreciate
do
it. I
yet.
appreciate it.
You
You
got a
get
short.
that, Brother Zaid. You get that. You get that, brother. You get that, brother.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate the grace. I appreciate the grace.
Back to your question, as the guest comes in, what should have happened yet has not formally happened, and it should have, right?
Oh, what's that?
Yeah, Brother Zaid keep freezing.
What's going on?
Yeah, he keep freezing.
Yeah,
It
There
keeps
you go.
freezing, and we have some static in the back
I
as
can
well.
hear that static as well.
Uh, Reverend Roundtree, I think that there's a lot of static coming from your thing. If you could mute. All right.
It
So,
was her. It was her.
Reverend, if you can mute, that would be good.
She
Because
muted,
I can't.
Brother Jonathan. I don't hear it anymore.
I'm not even on this.
We
Okay, hold on.
I know, but there's a lot of feedback coming back from yours.
Yeah, I don't know why she's getting that feedback.
All right. Now, if you unmute, can you unmute now? Reverend Roundtree, can you unmute now?
Still getting that
All right.
feedback.
Whenever you unmute, there's a lot of feedback coming back. If you can come out and then come back in, that would help.
Okay, but you're
And
saying that, but I've been on mute, no static, and then there's static either way. Now there's no static now, right?
there's no static now.
Okay. I'll go out and come back in.
No, you're good. Right now, it's good.
Okay, thank you. Let me
All right, you're
just
welcome.
check and see where Anthony is.
All right, now I'm muting you. All right, so all right, you were saying, and Abdul, I think, Minister, are you on?
I'm on, yes, sir. I'm sorry. I was saying to Brother Zaid before the brother came on. Oh, there you go. There go Brother Anthony. Oh, Brother Anthony, we apologize, brother. Please forgive us. We did not know you were back there. Forgive us. Forgive us, dear brother.
You're good.
Your time is very important, very valuable to us, dear brother, and we appreciate you for coming on the show. I'll let
Yes.
if we see our brother. I have your bio here,
The
very extent.
executive.
That's right. Go ahead, Reverend Roundtree. You can go ahead. I'm just looking for it.
No, the executive director of the Lincoln Park Music Coast and Cultural. Listen, he's Lincoln Park Central Ward. He's an alpha now. He's also doing development now. I know Jonathan's very familiar with him. As you can see, I'm out in the streets and I was with a family. I really couldn't, was waiting for them to come down, so I couldn't talk or get on the screen. And so now I'm on and I'm live to see the wonderful brother that's going to come on and give us a couple of minutes before he takes his mother out. There's a lot of things we can talk about that's going on. He can talk about the election. He can talk about what we see for the city, what we see for his development, what we see coming forth in the month of July with Lincoln Park Music Festival. So we just going to turn it over, Minister Haqq Muhammad, Jonathan, and Baba, to our guest for the evening, Minister, brother, Anthony Smith. I wish Balena Ali was here. Lady Ali would love this. It's in your hands, brother.
Thank you so much, brother Anthony. Again,
Yeah, no, well, first of all, thank you for inviting me tonight. I'm sorry I couldn't stay too long, but I'm excited to be a native. First of all, I'm a native Newarker and excited for the work that we're doing in Lincoln Park. Um, this year, we celebrate 22 years as an organization, and this year, 20 years for the Lincoln Park Music Festival, which we celebrate the genres that's near and dear to the city of Newark, which is gospel, jazz, house, hip hop, R&B, all of the above. But Lincoln Park is more than just a festival. Lincoln Park is a movement. We're down there on the south side of Broad Street doing community development and doing the things that we need to do to change the trajectory of the community. And so, it's always about one block at a time, and that's the work that we're doing, one block at a time, one person at a time, to change that whole trajectory of Lincoln Park.
well,
And
brother Anthony, I'm sorry. What made you get into that area in particular? What made you that particular that Lincoln Park area?
well, it's a long story, but I was working for a legislator at the city of Newark, and it ended up being my project. And plus, I was part of the charter class of leadership Newark, and a former executive director was working here. So I worked with him to make sure that we do not lose our history and the cultural legacy, and create a cultural legacy of Black and brown people and the contributions we had in Newark. So that really kind of motivated me to want to be down in Lincoln Park.
Hmm. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But I see in your bio, brother Anthony, it talks about your economic development and how near and dear that is to you, marketing. Can you talk some more about that in terms of the economic aspect of it? We know the cultural aspect of it and how profound that has been, but can you talk more about the economic aspect of it? Maybe some of the challenges and some of the victories.
Well, the thing about it is that the organization was created by many giants. One of them being the late Ameer Washington, and the reason that it was created was because much of the deployment of resources was down on the north side of Broad Street, but not the south side of Broad Street. So it's been exciting to be able to advocate and and give a voice to the voiceless, so that we can get development happening down that area. It's really happening now. We got over 1,000 units of housing coming in on place, not just by Lincoln Park, but because of our advocacy. We're redoing a park over a $5 million project, and those are the kind of things, being a native Newarker, that you want to see your city grow and you want to see a city change to be the best city it could be. So that's what motivates me.
Wow, that's tremendous. We know the housing crisis that's happening in America and generally, and we know some of the challenges in terms of housing that's happening in North specifically. And we know that the mayor, that's been something that he's been tackling and dealing with. So the fact that the organization is doing that is tremendous, and it is definitely a victory for the residents of North. I don't know if anyone else has any questions from Brother Anthony before he has to go.
The big question always when it comes to redevelopment is how do you deal with, and you're a native Yorker, and so you've heard this, I'm sure you're dealing with this. It's gentrification, right? Like prices are unaffordable, housing is unaffordable, right? Even affordable housing is unaffordable for most people who live here, right? Like we say, oh, it's affordable, but it's outside of our means. With the redevelopment, how do we prevent people from being displaced? And is that part of what you're doing as well?
So that's a very tough question because development is a very expensive endeavor. So what
Mm.
happens is that in order to have the affordability you want, you need also the subsidies coming in so that when you're building out your capital stack that you can have the AMIs that's needed to make sure that it's affordable for all residents of Newark. And so I think that it's a juggling act and it's always very challenging. We do our best. We're glad that the mayor has the inclusionary zoning law that that's mandated that 20% of any housing that's happening that has 30 or more units has to be affordable. But we're also looking at not just affordable housing and not necessarily market rate housing, but workforce housing because there's a group of folks who can't um, they're not eligible for affordable housing, but they don't make enough money to live in market rate housing, and they're
Mm.
working every day. So we're looking at workforce housing because we need housing for people who fall in between that can't get either. And
Wow.
so we're trying to take
Wow.
unique ways of looking at it, and also specialized housing for artists. We really are big on a proponent of bringing artists into our community. So that's our niche: workforce housing, affordable housing, of course, but certainly workforce housing because people go to work every day and they want to be able to live in a housing that they can afford, and that's what we're looking at. And what happens is that when you get affordable housing, there's so many restrictions, and you can make $2 over the $2 over what they say the threshold is. You can't get in, but you still can't
Wow.
afford regular market rate housing. So there's a lot of different ways that we have to make sure that New Yorkers are have access to housing in the city of Newark.
And by workforce housing, you're talking about like teachers, or if you work for the city, or something along those lines,
So,
and
so anyone
you
between
might fall between.
they fall between exactly anyone making uh, more than 35,000 and less than $60,000.
Mm.
That typically becomes workforce
That's a lot. That's a lot of people.
It's a
Yeah,
lot
that's
of
a whole
people
lot of people.
because if you make more than 35,000, typically you're not going to get affordable housing.
Mm.
And so the thing about it, but $35,000 really is not a lot of money.
Right.
Considering the cost of living. So we
Right.
have to be able to fill in that delta to make sure that we're looking at or everyone in the city of Newark and the income, the variety of incomes and how we can service to make sure that everyone has housing.
Wow.
So Lincoln Park is only doing their little part. We can't solve the whole problem, but we're
Right.
making sure that we're cognizant of what we're doing in the city of Newark and Lincoln Park.
Brother
Now, what are
Anthony,
we looking?
go ahead. Go ahead, Jonathan.
I was going to see what are we seeing in Lincoln? Like, what are the things that we're going to see right now in Lincoln Park? Because I know the Symphony Hall is being redone. I see new buildings being built. What and also, I keep hearing that about the new train stop that's coming to the South Ward. I don't know if that's a part of it as well, or would be a part of it.
So new train stuff is coming to Southward. It's not impacting Lincoln Park, but that's a great conversation because we used to have a path stop on South Street and they closed it down. That would change the whole game. That'd be a game changer if they open up that station in Lincoln Park because then that means that more people will want to live down there because they get on a train, go to New York or go wherever they have to go instead of going to Penn Station. So we have a stop in Lincoln Park, but it's not open yet. Uh, but say the first part of your question again.
What are the new developments and the things that are going on in Lincoln Park? Like the news, like the stuff that you're excited about. Like you're like,
I'm excited about
yeah.
our projects. We're doing 62 units of housing behind the church facade across from Lincoln Park, across from
Mm.
the Nursing Hall, that old church facade.
Yes,
We're doing
sir.
60 houses behind that. We have permanent office space. We're going to do a community room slash, I call it a jug joint, where we can have our own Blue Note. We can have and go and listen to music, like because that area was called the Coast at one time. where the jazz club was
I
there.
wanted to lift that up. Go ahead. You got it. Keep going.
Yeah, so Zion said Lincoln Park, formerly known as the Coast District,
Yeah,
is my old neighborhood.
yeah,
All right, Zion.
yeah. And so we're excited about that. I going on, but we're standing on the shoulders of a lot of our ancestors and a lot of legacy building, and so we want to make sure that we capture and do not erase the culture that was there. And I mean, we can have a longer conversation about this, but the church beside was where the abolitionist movement was happening in Lincoln Park, because that whole area was an integrated area in the city of Newark. So there's a lot of history there, and we want to make sure that we don't erase the history, but we also
That's right.
celebrate the people, celebrate all that was happening in that particular area.
That's right.
And I want to ask one more question before Brother Anthony has to go. Brother Anthony, in Lincoln Park, our sister, North legend, Frederica Bay had two properties down there in Lincoln Park, 53 Lincoln Park and 62 Lincoln Park, I think it was. They were taken from her, and they have since been abandoned for quite some time. Do you know what's going on with those properties? Very beautiful properties. She had a
So,
school in there at one time.
we're having a situation with land bankings with some of these properties. People come in our community and buy stuff and don't do nothing with it, and it creates
Blight.
people live blight, people living in their homeless people. It becomes a problem for us, because now we have to deal with other issues that should not be happening to stabilize the community. So we're fighting hard to make sure that those landlords either build or give it to someone else. Because the thing about it is that we don't want to have a community that's half developed and other half is just sitting there vacant. It's just not healthy for us, and it's not enticing for other people who want to come and live downtown Newark or be a part of the Lincoln Park experience.
And isn't that what eminent domain was supposed to be used for? Like eminent domain was used to break up black communities and do all kinds of bad things. Why can't we use eminent domain to be like, you're a slumlord, you've been a slumlord for a while, give it up?
Well, I'm sure that there are many options like that can be used, as if they were used against us. They could be used also to help us to shift and change the trajectory of our community. But that's not in Lincoln Park's hands. But I would say that I think that that can be an option.
I'm glad, and Haqq, I appreciate you raising that.
Absolutely.
For everybody's background, what he's talking about with the two properties owned by Wisdom, Women in Support of the Million Man March. Those were brave adventures and were very endearing resources for our larger community.
That's right.
When they were in effect, and it was heartbreaking to see the way certain forces who were jealous, I'm gonna say this quite plainly, of what our sisters were doing, came at them and under bogus
pretenses. That's right.
One of the things I wanted to lift up also is that pretty, and going back to the history of the neighborhood, the neighborhood was also very much in addition to being that area where we had culture popping back in the the pre-movement era, right? Also known as a Ladas area. Ladas is land where the Great Puerto Rican Uprising of 1868 took place, right? Uprising to end slavery and for the liberation of Puerto Rico. The Puerto Rican community in that neighborhood is a very old community that's directly attached to a radical tradition in Puerto Rico that needs to be acknowledged as well. And before he passed, the late great Clement Price, who was one of my Rutgers mentors, had on the table a committee to do something to honor Ameer, right? And I had proposed to them that we take Lincoln Park, rename it Legends Park, reimagine the whole park, and have a number of statues erected to some of our heroes, and Ameer being the principal one right in the middle, and then take from where Broad Street turns to Clinton Avenue, take Clinton Avenue all the way up and rename that Amiri Baraka Boulevard, right? He passed away before we could really amp that conversation up, but some of us have been wanting to
So you do know that we have passed a resolution to dedicate South 10th Street to Amiri and Amina, because she said that we weren't going to do it without, you got to do both for that particular piece. So we passed this resolution some time ago. It's just up to the family when this event is going to take place. That's just a rededication or a dedication. You're talking about actually doing it the way we did it for Mayor Kenneth Allen Gibson to officially change it. That's what you're saying.
Oh yeah, this is a conversation we had. This conversation goes back years.
No,
This is
no,
an
I'm
old
saying to
conversation.
officially change
Yes.
the avenue from Clinton Avenue to Amelia Baraka Boulevard or
Yeah.
Avenue or whatever. I don't know how that would go.
Yes, and to reimagine Lincoln Park as something far more culturally specific to the history of Newark. That's something that we have been talking about.
I would say, Brother Muhammad, is that we're doing a lot of work that not necessarily exactly what you're saying, but we're being very intentional about the work that we're doing in Lincoln Park to preserve our culture, and so we'll stay tuned. We'll make sure that you're engaged in that process if you can. But it's some work takes a long time, but you got to stay at it and keep pushing forward. Because to be actually honest with you, the work I'm doing is the work of what the late Ameer Baraka wanted us to do at Lincoln Park.
That's right.
So I'm really standing on his shoulders, pushing his agenda forward because he always saw it as the arts district.
That was his spot.
A place where we celebrated Black and Brown culture, and so that's the work we're doing. And I'll make sure that I get your information so that you could be engaged in some of the things that we're doing, and some of the history that you just told me I did not know.
Yes.
And I think that it'd be.
You should be at the table. You want to come to the table, Baba?
I already got my chair.
All right. Well, there's a space there for you. You don't have to worry about us making no room for you.
So,
Anthony, I love you. I love you. I've known Anthony for, we're not going to say how many years, but we neither one of us, I wasn't a reverend and he sure wasn't in development. But we were developing. God was developing us to be in development and to be who we are today, Brother Jonathan. And he is a force to be reckoned with. When you see him and you see his smile, I think back on when I met him so many years ago when we were real young and cute. I always tell people we might not be as young, but we still cute. Well, with you, I better say handsome, because you know what I'm saying? I got to say handsome. But our spirits are full of love. Our spirits we permeate growth from our inner being. And I am so proud and so thankful and grateful to God for Anthony and his visions and his wherewithal, not to think that it was his invention or his vision alone, but he's paying homage to the ancestor whose shoulders he stands on to make sure that he implement whatever he's implementing, that it embodies the spirit of the person whose shoulders he stands on, along with today and the relevancy of how people need to embrace what he's coming forward with and how it can affect today's humankind.
I have a quick question. So, you said Baba. So, Baba, are you the Yoruba religion? Is that what you said, Baba?
Okay.
No, I'm not a Baba Lao.
I thought when you said Baba, I thought
Baba Lao.
You're not a Baba Lao. Okay.
In Yoruba, that's sort of kids. These kids been calling me Baba since my 40s. We usually don't get that till our 60s.
Okay.
Because of the kind of upfront, warrior elder I've been, they call me Baba. They also call me the General too because of my background in terms of my paramilitary background.
Okay, gotcha.
But not I practice Islam and I practice Ifa. I practice both. Okay. I use both spiritual weapons to fight the devil.
Okay, gotcha. I'm there with you. So anyway, I'm sure I would love to come back and have more detailed conversation. I have to shift and go and do something with my mom, but I wanted to make sure that I was able to join you and have this conversation.
And we appreciate it. We definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So please invite me back. Anytime you need to, just let us know.
Okay. Yeah.
Anthony, We're going to be, Brother Jonathan, we've been on so many years now. I got to go back and see what anniversary we're going to be celebrating soon. But I want to make sure that we do, there's got to be a new thing. The relevancy can't just be about me, Baba, Minister Abdul Haq. We can do a whole hour by ourselves. But then there's so many other things going on in our community that we need to empower, involve, and be inclusive with people like Anthony Smith that are doing things in our communities. Listen, we can be political, religion, all of that. That's all good. But development embodies all of that. So and art involves all of that. So Anthony, I'm glad you said yes to our call and answered yes to God's direction on getting on this show with the one and only Minister Abdul Haqq Muhammad. Brother Baba, Brother Ed is not here, our producer. He's with Lady Kemp. We saying what's up. Lady Balena is our co-host, which is Pastor Brian Ali's wife, and she is fitting in the plug of where he used to sit because it was me, well, it was Minister Abdul, myself, and Brother Pastor Ali, Pastor in the Hood, which you know very well. Brother Jonathan is going to start counting down.
I am. I was like, we got 7 minutes.
8 minutes. 8. I said 8. My clock says 6:54. I'm a minute off. Okay, 6:53. And if I don't be quiet, it's going to be 6:52. So let me let Minister Abdul go. You have any closing words for us, Minister Anthony? Brother, I don't like you calling you Minister.
Anthony.
You, brother.
Because I think that the work that we're doing is ministry, the ministry of Lincoln Park. You know,
yes,
that's right.
Communities and ministry. So whether it's housing, whether it's the music, whether it's working with our youth, it's all a ministry. It's a calling that we have, and it is a ministry.
Yes,
that's right. Thank you so much, Brother Anthony, for your time.
Love you.
Please forgive us for our tardiness, dear brother. We did not know.
I was in the waiting room. Y'all were chatting. So I was.
And he texted me. He said, "Now listen, I gotta go see my mother. Y'all gonna have to get me another time." I was like, "Oh Lord, no."
Oh my Lord! Thank you so much, Brother Anthony, and we pray to have you back very soon, dear brother.
All right. Thanks for having me.
We love you.
Thank you for being with us. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you for holding down the
6:54, Brother Johnson. We know
we got 6 minutes.
All right. So, Reverend Roundtree, any closing remarks, Brother Zaid? No. Let me.
No,
go
I don't.
first.
No, I don't. Not tonight. Y'all already made the announcements.
Let me go first, Reverend Roundtree, because you got to talk about the Black agenda tomorrow. So I just want to thank everybody for being with us again. We appreciate you. Thank you again, Brother Jonathan, for being here and facilitating on behalf of Brother Ed. We appreciate you. We love you. Congratulations again on your union. May God continue to bless you and your family. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Brother Jonathan did a new thing.
You
did a new thing, Brother. Well, you made. Listen, you got on a new ring. But I don't think the wife is new but it's a new journey.
Well, relatively new. We just got married in December.
Oh, the vows are new. But the commitment had to be in your heart long before you said I do. So congratulations.
You haven't met her, have you yet? You haven't met her yet, have you?
I've seen that. But listen, congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you.
May
Shout
God
out to Ashley Renee.
He's got a good thing too, so y'all know she's a great.
Well, that's what the Bible declares: a man who finds a wife finds a good thing. I just keep wondering why I'm wondering though, Minister Abdul, when they say find a wife, they mean wife material, because you don't find the woman already married. She got to say I do first, even after you ask her. But congratulations, Baba. I'm just saying. Sure, sometimes I read the word and I have to figure it out and say, God, is this what you meant? But listen, congratulations. May God continue to bless your union. I wish you many, many years of success on your nuptials. Listen, there's only 3 people, 3 entities in this relationship. Only 3. We keep that in mind.
God. Right.
That's it. We always go sideways and to the left when we start talking to the in-laws, the brothers, our friends, our cousins. Listen, may God keep you 3 intertwined, so as you go forward, that I'll be seeing you. Well, I don't know if I'll be around 50 years from now, but just in case I
You'll
am,
be around.
that I'll see the great
Yeah,
grands
longer than
or
that.
the grands or my bonus grandchildren, Brother Jonathan. Bless you and your wife on the commitment that you've made to each other. Brothers Baba, I love you. Thanks for being the soldier that you are. Minister Haqq Muhammad, I love you.
That's
Help
right.
you
I'm
men.
here.
Help you men over at Central High School, getting that knowledge, this resources, the information that Honorable J. Baraka, the mayor, is sharing. I thank God that he took us on this journey that we embarked upon to really show us the revolution was televised. Okay, yeah, it really was, and I thank God because while he was on that journey, there were threats. There were many things that came up against him, but no weapon formed against him prospered, and he still came out victorious for the people of Newark and for the state of New Jersey. Two of the largest counties that actually went against him. These are people that did not say, we got your back. These are people that stepped out in front of him and said, we are not supporting you publicly. And God allowed him to become victorious for sure. Some places, you don't even worry about it because you know the thinking, the thought pattern, you know. Some things you just know. And God changed some of the things some people thought they know. Because for him to get where he got and to bring in the numbers that he brought in makes him a force to be reckoned with, respected, and talked to differently if you got any kind of brain. So congratulations. Once again, I'm going to say he's going to be my governor anyway, to our mayor, because they're going to need his gubernatorial expert for them to be the governor if they're going to. Okay, we're going to leave that right there, Jonathan. That's it for me. Don't forget tomorrow, September 28th, July 28th, I'm sorry, June 28th, June 28th, in Trenton, New Jersey, 42 Pennington, Trenton, New Jersey, Mount Zion AME Church, where Reverend Dr. Charles Boyer is the pastor. The mayor is hosting this meeting, and we really need to show up. I am sure it's going to be packed, because some won't come because they really want to help here, and some won't come because they just want to be nosy and hear. So just for whatever reason you coming, we want you to know that we're coming strong, coming united, coming with fearless, and coming with a heart for the all people, not just some people. We represent humanity. We don't represent just you. So I'm going to pray for the victim and the mayor says when I go, I pray for the one that got shot and the one that's holding the gun, because the truth is everybody is worthy of prayer. And we've got to keep our country in prayer. We've got to keep what's going over in Iran. All of this stuff that's going on, all of these, I'm going to sit down and have a McDonald's hamburger and just blow up a country. I mean, like, really? Really, Jonathan? Let me see what's on. Watch me a Western, or watch Platoon and decide it's time to have a war. Okay. I was sitting down having a Coke and a hot dog and just came up with this mind. I don't know if these people are delirious or what's wrong. I don't know. I'm not God. I'm not a mind reader or a prophet. But I do trust God that we will prevail. We came through Jim Crow, civil rights, and slavery. And I believe God's going to deliver us from the buffoonery and the foolishness that is confronting our people. Keep Congresswoman LaMonica McIver and Bonnie Watson, Congresswoman Coleman in prayer. Brother Menendez jumped out there too. Keep these people and keep all of our people that are representing us in prayer, standing up for them. Do not hide behind the wall. This is no time to be hiding. This is the time to step out. Medgar Evers didn't hide. Fannie Lou Hamer did not hide. Harriet Tubman did not hide. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan does not hide. Let us not be hidden like we had the hidden, the three ladies. So yeah, let's not be hidden. Let's not hide. Thank you, Brother Jonathan.
Thank you.
See you guys tomorrow. It's an honor to be with you. I love you.
Thank you.
And
An
Brother
honor to be with y'all as well.
We love you. Thank you, Brother Zai.
Love
Thank
you
you,
too.
Reverend. Thank you again, Brother Anthony. We appreciate you. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. God bless you.
Have come.
God bless you. God bless you.
God bless you.
Bless you. Okay.
Hey, how are you?
Very good.
Hey.
Yes. So happy to be here on this Friday. I heard the end of last segment. And so, yes, keeping our country in prayers, keeping our representative in prayers. And so yeah, the time is now to pray. If you didn't pray before, please start praying now. Um,
That's been the theme. That's been the theme for the last a little over a year. I'm like, all right, time to pray.
Amen. You
Right.
know what? It take us for the next 100, 200, 300 years, prayer, prayer, prayer. But just all politics are local. My name is Asia, and I am so happy that we have, hey, Zaid. Hey, Jonathan.
How you
Hey.
doing, daughter?
I'm so
Hey,
happy.
Asia Norton has come. Their daughter's so bad they named the whole continent after. Come on, stop playing.
Let it be known, the whole continent, the largest one. And so I'm so happy that we have Ameer Washington. Ameer Washington is sidebar. He's my cousin. So, that family closeness. Our families are very the amount of connections that we have is it's like one of those things like if you from Newark, you from Newark.
Right.
You got a great first name, Amir. You know what that means, right?
Yes, I do.
All right.
Amen.
Everybody's benefit. Amir means prince,
That's right.
right? It's a very legal name.
My middle name is Sharif, and so that means noble prince.
Yes, sir. All right. All right. All right.
I know that's right. Someone was raised.
That's
in
Papa,
the
that's
way.
Papa stuff, y'all. So don't, that's how I get down, as you were.
Yeah. Yeah. So Ameer, Prince Ameer, is the chief executive director over at the Newark Boys and Girls Club on Avon Ave, which actually has a new name. The building has a new name.
Right.
But I don't want to tell your background. I want you to be able to control your narrative. But we're so happy that you're here with us this evening on All Politics Are Local, Ameer. And just a little caveat, Ameer is a Newark native, born and raised. And for him to be in this position at the Newark Boys and Girls Club is truly a testament to, he's also a product of the Newark Boys and Girls Club. And so it's a true testament of the amount of resources, and when the community pours into a child, they grow into an adult that pour right back into the community. And so, Ameer, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Asia. It's a pleasure.
Yeah. And so tell us what's going on at the Newark Boys and Girls Club.
We have a lot of stuff going on at the club. I always feel extra busy. So we're developing apps in our STEM center. We're providing mental health support in our wellness center and wellness clinic. We have learn to swim programs and the swim team. Our teenagers are engaged in advocacy, so they get to speak to their representatives in Congress and the Senate. Actually, in about 3 weeks, they'll be going out and talking about the issue of mass incarceration, which is a part of a program called Think, Learn, Create, Change that they've been doing for about 4 years now. So it's really exciting that they get a chance to kind of develop these ideas, talk in their community about it, and then talk to the representatives about what they would like to do and do together. So that's just a few things. I could be here all night telling you all the amazing things our team does.
Well, let me ask you this. Can I, if I can?
Please,
right?
please.
I'm one of the pipelines here to community-based violence intervention that Newark has become famous for, right? And we're getting ready for summer, and summer is always an intense time where what we do has to work, or we will see a spike in community-based violence, right? Yeah. What are some of the programs that you're going to be highlighting and emphasizing as we get ready for the summer?
Well, the big thing about Boys and Girls Club of Newark and the programs like it is that it's really centered around building strong mentor-mentee relationships between staff and youth. And so the programs, we start at 8:30 in the morning and go till 5:30. So it's a full day. Young people have breakfast with us, and then they rotate throughout the different spaces in our facility. So that may be the swimming pool, the gymnasium, our dance studio, our STEM center, and our classroom spaces to do arts and crafts and other kinds of activities. And all these things are built around building character and kids learning how to become involved in their community. So really focusing on positive activities, enrichment activities, not so much school, right? We're not a school. We don't claim to be academics. But our job is to make sure that kids, when they're out of school, are still developing the skills and understanding of the community and culture that they're in necessary to navigate the world in the way that they choose to do so. So whether that's military service, going into business, working for someone, being an educator, being a social worker, it doesn't matter what their desire is. Our job is to help navigate and guide them, to whatever heights they want to reach.
That's beautiful. And I do have a teaching background. And while I was on the Newark Board of Education, the now superintendent Leon, as educators, we would refer to like art, gym, music as extracurricular activities, as if it's like something that is extra, like you don't need it, but it's extra. And so I just remember on the board and with Superintendent Leon, he changed the term from extracurricular activities to co-curricular. And so it seems like that's what the Boys and Girls Club is centered around, the holistic. So acknowledging that you're not necessarily a K-8 or K-12 education institution, but still providing the necessary curricular activities to make sure that the child is a whole child and not just only focus on the academics. Because yes, learning how to read is important, learning math is important, science, social studies, all those things are important. At the same time, equally as important are these co-curricular activities, whether it be art, gym, learning how to swim, self-advocacy, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's a beautiful thing. And since you were a part of the Boys and Girls Club at a young age, can you just kind of like, is there something different with the Boys and Girls Club from when you were there to like, what is it now? Has it shifted a little bit? Are there still the beliefs and values are changed? Do they look different? Can you just elaborate on that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think the club is significantly different from what it was when I was a kid in terms of how we do the work and what the focus is of the work. When I was there, it was a lot of recreation activities. So we really focused around athletics. There were some other enrichment activities. We did entrepreneurship program, teen leadership programs, which we still have in place. So our kids are going to go from Washington, D.C. and then out to Chicago for something called the Keystone Conference. So they're learning how to raise money. They're learning, how to engage education, how to build their own programs. And one of the things that comes out of this is things like workforce readiness, right? And so not just, entrepreneurship, but how do you write a resume? How do you interview? How do you show up and continue to improve yourself while you're on the job and engaging with real professionals? And so one of the cool programs we have is PGIM, Prudential's investment arm, comes out and they help the kids learn how to business plan. And then they do a business pitch and learn, what they've done well, what they haven't done well, what they need to improve on. Is this an idea that they can actually, see come to fruition in the near future, right? So one of the things that's really important for us now is what we call trauma-informed care. So we know the kind of community Newark has been defined as, what we were assumed to become when we were young. And so really saying, okay, where is this kid? Where is the family? What traumas, what things and challenges have they faced? And how do we actually address their needs individually within the environment that we have, right? So how do we pair them with staff members, social workers, mental health professionals who can kind of work through that process? And so a lot of the things we do is really, like you said, looking at a child holistically. What wasn't there when I was a kid, dental clinic on site. And so that used to be the second leading cause of school absences. A lot of our families are working families who don't have the flexibility to take off work because they are often wage earners who would not be paid for that time. The law has changed to benefit that in a lot of ways. But what's really important is a kid can be in our program. They can come downstairs into the dental clinic if the parent gives them permission without the parent, be seen, and then go back into programming. So those 2 visits a day or any of those challenges that they may be facing, inside of their oral health can be addressed, because the group we work with, the Kindersmile Foundation, was created because a young person, and I forget the locale that he was, living in, died because of a tooth problem. Right, that was preventable. So imagine young people coming up without access to dental care. People don't get it, right? That's a part of your full healthcare. And sometimes we don't think about it that way, but we do, right? Like, so those wraparound services that just didn't exist when I was there. I was fortunate enough to have a mother who was employed, who had benefits, but a lot of our members in the community don't, or they're underinsured.
Right. That's right.
Yeah. It sounds so. The word that stuck out to me in your elaboration was preventative. And so it sounds like that's the Zaid, when you were saying how the work that you currently do with whether it be trauma or preventative community violence. And so there's two things that have to go on, or multiple things, but for the sake of this conversation, I'll just say like there's two things that have to go on. There's the responsive, so something's happening, violence is happening, we have to respond to it accordingly. And then there's the preventative. So before we even get to the violence or what's causing the violence, how about we prevent it over here? And so the work that the Boys and Girls Club is doing, it's preventative, like 100%. And so from your youngest participant to your oldest participant, and however long they're going through the program itself, it's trying to empower children and their families at the same time, so that, like you said, we understand our population here in Newark. How about we try to guide them in a direction that is going to prevent something that can lead to a harm?
Who do we have our hands on? Right?
Right.
That's the mantra that I use when I'm trying to explain what we're talking about, this trauma-informed strategy that's a part of our whole public health paradigm in this time, to explain to folks who do not understand what we do and what that is. But who we have our hands on, all the various programs and whatnot are us engaging in those areas of our community and our population that stand the risk of being engaged in something else if we don't have our hands on them. Right? And if when we have our hands on them, we can identify where they have some very serious problems that make them, and I hate to use the word at risk, but y'all understand what I'm trying to say.
Well,
Right? We have a responsibility to resource, them in a way that allows us to break a cycle of risk and violence that puts them at risk, so they could be on a pathway to healing and fundamental development.
and what else?
Having said that, let me ask this.
Okay.
Who are you?
I'm jumping in there, but that's all right. You got
I
the first.
know, I got you. In terms of the trauma-informed strategies you just delineated, who are your trauma-informed partners that you work with in terms of trying to implement that strategy? Because it's important.
Yeah. So we work with a number of different universities, in particular, Rutgers University, NYU, Columbia, Montclair State University. What they do for us is provide mental health students, so licensed, those who are becoming Masters of Social Work and Masters of Public Health. They come and work with our kids and implement health and life skills programs, and then identify through that work kids who may have some additional challenges. We work with a number of different members of the community, from RWJ Barnabas Health through Newark Beth Israel, UMD&J, and tons of all the corporate partners and various partners like Horizon, Blue Cross Blue Shield. They fund our training intensive program. And so what we are for Boys and Girls Club of America in the Northeast region is the Trauma Informed Intensive Training Center. And so professionals from the Northeast come to our club, and this will happen again this November, and they learn to improve their trauma-informed care practices so that they can be the best possible solution for the members that they serve. And so we work with Table to Table, who provides produce for our families. There's so many different partners, the Kinder Smile Foundation, which I mentioned, and also the Helen Keller Institute that provides eyeglasses and free examinations, along with, I'm missing the name, what is it? It's a mobile van service that I'm missing the name of right now. But we work with all of these different partners to really engage families holistically so that they're getting the support they need if they don't have the resources on their own. And so we don't turn away from any community partner that's doing good work in the community if it aligns with what we're doing in our mission. Again, right, schedules. We can't work with everybody all the time, but we work with a number of different organizations over our history to provide service and support. When we were a big referral system in terms of our program, we work with a group called Family Connections, who has a curriculum called Strengthening Families, so that kids and parents can learn where they are on the developmental stage, so parents aren't thinking that this 8-year-old should be further along than they are, and know how to respond to those challenges. And so they come together and learn what they were going to do for the day, then break apart in different groups, and then come back together over a meal and what we call family dinner nights or family game nights. And so really bringing back that connectedness in the, when you get home, a lot of times parents have worked all day, they've been at the Boys and Girls Club, they're going to go home. If they need to cook the meal, right, they'll cook a meal, or however they've planned to do that, and then they'll go to bed most of the time, right? So having these kinds of engagement kind of brings back that family connection that's not there. And we know a lot of our young people, live in single parent households, so that traditional family structure isn't there. And so we're really trying to help solve for the challenges, but not just serve the kids anymore, right? Like we had a big focus when I was growing up on just the youth. Now it's the youth and the family.
Yeah. Very healthy. Very healthy. Very healthy. Good stuff. And this is the best time for you to come on, given what we're getting ready to get into in terms of the summer and that volume of activity that's
what I was going to say for this is that, like, the Boys and Girls Club has been doing the preventative work that you're talking about, Zaid, for all of their existence. Like your founding,
decades,
right, was to do this type of work. And you have a really long, rich history within the organization. And I just wanted to shout that out. I just want to make sure everyone knows that, like, all the preventative work, all the things about caring for kids who need help has been done. Like, it is part of your organization. And wanted to give a shout out and thank you, because you've actually affected some of my students in very positive ways. Big shout out to Deshaun Foster,
yes,
who was one of my AP English students, who has doing incredible stuff now in entertainment. He has written books. He's done a lot of very, very creative things. But one of the things he always talks about is his experience in the Boys and Girls Club and what it did for him, right? And he's not alone. There are a lot of people, there are thousands of people that the organization in particular helped. You've said that the organization is different now than it was before. What needed to change, or what did you feel needed to change in order to meet the same goal of helping and mentoring kids, but in the different environment that we have today?
Yeah, I think what's important for us, and not just Boys and Girls Club in Newark, but nationally, is what are the things in our world that are going to change, that are going to affect kids, right? And we knew and know, right, it's technology, it's the lack of one-on-one engagement with young people. One of the things that's so important, right, we had the COVID pandemic occur, and we saw peer-to-peer connections reduce, and this is a national issue. And it's been talked about, and they talk about how the effects of the mental health challenges around that moment will be felt for 10, 20 years down the line. And so we have this thing called the National Youth Outcomes Initiative, which is a survey of members at a period of time, typically 8 and older, who say what their experience, how they're feeling, what's going on at the club. What was great, that we had a great score on adult to youth connections, but we had a horrible score on peer-to-peer interactions, positive peer-to-peer interactions. And so what we do is we look at, okay, well, what are the challenges and things that are getting in the way of these kids having a positive experience between the two or group of them? Because what we want kids to do, and what has always been a part of Boys and Girls Club, is healthy conflict resolution amongst young people. And then if we need to, we step in and guide. And this year, we had the highest score across the entire Boys and Girls Club movement, which is comprised of over 5,500 clubs with 1,000 organizations across the country and the globe. And so we were intent on how do we pierce through this problem and make sure that kids are having positive engagements with one another. One of the things we're doing this summer for our program that starts on Tuesday is there's a company called Yonder who creates these mobile packs, these slivers where you can stick your phone in and they lock. And the only people that have the key access or code access are the site leaders. So both the staff and the youth are going to have their phones in that pouch once programming gets going, so that they can all be fully engaged and fully immersed in talking and communicating, working and playing together with one another.
So that at school.
Distraction, right? And they do this at some schools. And what we did is, and this is the talk, is that AI is going to come and it's here and it's working, it's going to advance, it's going to change the industries that kids are going to work in, but they're going to create new opportunities. The reason why we're so intent on teaching coding, and not just teaching it, but also building the applications that people can use. So we have a fitness app that's getting approved on the Apple Store. And then we're going to do a game app incubator this fall with the goal of having that app go onto the store. And then, right, from a business standpoint, we want to monetize those apps so both those kids can become business people at a young age. The kid who coded this app and it's being developed is 12 years old. And so that, I think, is the difference in that, not just teaching kids something, because we all lose information, but starting to create products and services and things that they can put out into a world, a portfolio of art or photography or whatever it might be, going to the Capitol and speaking directly to your representative in their office and their staff so that they can understand what your challenges are in real time, right? Knowing that civic engagement process. So that's what's very different, from what we do now. And we're really intent on constantly evaluating what we're doing and how our families and kids are being affected by what's happening around them.
That's amazing. And
thank you.
Everything. Thank you. You're the one doing the work. And what I'm hearing is exposure, because that's just that one piece that our kid. It's not that our kids can't do it. It's not that our kids are incapable of. It's just a matter of our kids being exposed to it, being exposed to the technology, being exposed to the knowledge, being exposed to the possibilities. That's the challenge that we have in our community, and that it is being addressed in a variety of ways, including at the Boys and Girls Club, as you mentioned. But it's like some people just assume, or they believe, there's not even an assumption, they believe that it's the lack of ability, like they can't do it. They're not capable of doing it. And it's like, actually, they're fully capable of doing it. They just don't have the exposure. And so kudos to the Boys and Girls Club for, one, listening to the members, right? And then two, making sure that the organization is staying not only upbeat, but looking to the future, because that's what our kids are. Our children are not the now, our children are the future. And so exposing them to all the things that you just mentioned is a beautiful thing, and they're thriving. And so, yes, you are a prime example of it, but I'm sure you have thousands, hundreds of stories of people going through the Newark Boys and Girls Club. I was there the other day for the name change of the building of Miss Cynthia, the building being named after Miss Cynthia Banks, and how the amount of people that came to support her, that came through the Boys and Girls Club, that are successful in however you want to define success, they are successful. And so that it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. I mean, when I think about the club and what Mr. Austin was talking about, with someone like Daquan Foster, right? He was somebody I met when he was 11 years old. I was a young, maybe a year almost out of college, and being able to connect with a young person who, while my dad passed away when I was young, his dad wasn't in his life, even though he was alive, right? And so I would see him sit alone, and he'd be writing this story, and I started talking to him about it. And I was a big comic book fan. And, funny enough, right, I still talk with Daquan. Obviously, he's a part of our organization. He's one of our most recent podcast episodes, but we were on the phone today talking about relationships and young women today, and what their desires are, or what they don't know about what they want. And so that mentor-mentee relationship stays with us as we come through the Boys and Girls Club and progress, because we'll always be willing to help our young people. And so Cynthia Banks was there when I was 6 years old. She's now, one of my direct reports. But, when I became CEO, I was like, I would love to have this building be named after her, because we often, as we talked about at the event, celebrate people when they're gone. And we love at our organization to give people their flowers while they're alive. And it's such a beautiful, selfish reason for me doing it, because I wanted her name to be remembered for the impact she's had around thousands of kids over almost 40 years of service. And you talk about people like Shanae Harris, who's the head of the foundation over at Prudential, Shavar Jeffries, who ran for mayor, who heads up the KIP Foundation, Vaughn Crow, who's running a venture capital firm, and so these kinds of stories are created from Boys and Girls Club. So they're the horror stories in Newark, but there's so many young people older than me, my age, a little younger, that are doing amazing things. And I think about one of the young ladies who was a mentee of mine, who also went to Science Park, Savannah Damande, how even after, right, like, talking about, how do you go in and advocate for yourself around salary and around compensation.
One of the twins.
One of the twins. Yeah, and Tatiana, I speak to her too. Yeah. We had some conversations. She worked at her company, and we went through some processes. And she went into the office one day and told her company what she wanted to do, because she put some of the recommendations I made into practice and bring in a new business, right? And one of the comments I always tell people is like, don't tell people you work hard. Everybody works hard because you sign a contract to do your job. Add value, bring value to the company, and whatever that's defined as for that company, often in for-profits, it's new money, new business. And so when you can do that, you can kind of set your agenda for yourself. And so now she lives in California, and she's doing the same work she was doing here in New York, but she was able to go live in a place that she wanted to live in, experience life that way. She's now a 2-time cancer survivor. And so still having those challenges. And we did the breast cancer walk with her in Newark a couple of years ago. And so it's just those kinds of relationships the clubs create, right? And I always tell people, it's not just the programs, it's not really about the programs. No one really remembers the programs as just like math. I did math in school. Like, so what? I remember the math teacher who talked to me about life, who talked to me about working hard, who talked to me about experience going on that trip to France or wherever it was, that is seared into their mind. And that's what I'm big on. It's like, let's create experiences and things that kids are never going to forget. And that's what I remember at the Boys and Girls Club.
I love that. I love that. And it's also tying into narratives. And so when we're talking about what we hear about Newark, it's really who's controlling the narrative of Newark.
Yeah.
And right now, it's at a certain point, it's still
Big deal.
It's the news, and then you have social media that just like, and then with politics, people like Raj just ran from there, and so just like let's pull all the negative things about Newark in, like like he's like the problem because Newark is a problem. But it comes also down to who's controlling the narrative about Newark, and so platforms like this, All Politics Are Local. Ameer, you said you guys have a podcast. And so being able to control our own narrative so that not to say that we don't have our issues here, but it's not the only thing that is happening. Right. We have successes, and it's not even like a pocket of success. We have an abundance of success like that. But people, and let's be honest, like we are a predominantly Black and brown community. And so just the basis of our country in general from our founding founders, it's just let's paint the people of that as Black and brown as negative. And if we try and we have to control that narrative, it has to suit that narrative as such. And so platforms like this, it just becomes that much more important now because it's important because the children and what they're seeing about themselves. Someone saying that you're bad, where you're coming from is bad, you're bad, you're bad. You kind of internalize it. And so places like the Boys and Girls Club, Newark YMCA, etc., just like, actually, you're great, you're brilliant, you're fully capable of, and look, you're doing it. You're doing it. And so come
back. Have a full life.
Yeah.
Precisely. And so is I you from Newark? I actually don't know that.
Plainfield. He's from Plainfield.
Yeah.
I came to talk with the Muslims back in the 1970s. Over these streets, cleaning them up.
Newark adjacent. Okay, you from Plainfield, Newark adjacent. I was saying that.
I've been to Newark most of my life, though, you know. So yeah, now.
So 3 out of 4 people on this platform right now, we're from Newark, and so just like, and we go through our credentials one by one. It's phenomenal, and we're not the exception to any rule. Like we are the rule.
I know we're reaching the end of this segment, but I literally have to remind my students of that when they're writing their college essays. Sometimes they will talk about themselves as the exception. Like, whoa. Look at the instructors that you have. And I'm not just talking about me. I'm talking about like the people around this building who are instructing you. You are not an underprivileged child, right? like look at the amount of money that went into your education. And don't let me have one of my debaters talk about being underprivileged.
That's right.
Wait. The amount of coaching that you get, right? Like you need to rethink that, right? Like we do well, not in spite of Newark, but because of Newark. And I agree with that. Not in spite of Newark, but because of Newark and the institutions that are in it. And Boys and Girls Club is one of those institutions that is that helps the entire community be better. It's a resource.
Yeah, I agree with that. And last thing I'll end on, I know that we're at the end, but Newark has a wealth of resource, and I think the biggest thing is getting those resources to people and letting people know about them and trying to figure out. And it's one of the things we talked about in our leadership exchange with Prudential is how do we get that information to the communities, because not everybody can travel and move around, as easily as some of us can. So thank you guys for bringing me on. Thank you for what you're doing here. This is great.
Thank you.
Though, she's got to ask a ritual question.
Oh yes,
and we got to also address her gear because I see what you repping.
Okay,
read it. I'll get to it. Ameer, before we let you go, one, thank you so much for coming on a Friday evening. We really appreciate it. Ameer has a baby. Not too baby, but thank you so much.
Two of them though, 3 and 2.
Yes, true, yes. And so appreciate you making your way on Friday evening with everything you have going on. Before we let you go, true to all politics are local, we ask all of our guests, who is your favorite rap artist, rap group, and or rap song? You can answer all three. You can answer one, whatever your flavor.
Favorite rapper would be really difficult, and so I usually go with Tupac. I'm a huge DMX fan as well. If I had to go with a group, it's Wu-Tang.
Okay.
And my favorite rap song individually always comes back to Where I'm From by Jay-Z, because it was one of the first songs that was really seared into my mind that reflected where I lived and where I grew up. And the street I grew up on was Stratford Place, which was very notorious in my day. There are now 2 abandoned buildings, still an empty lot on it. And the amount of crime and things that I saw and what we talked about was really reflected in that song. And right, it was that narrative that was largely pushed about our community. And I love that this platform and our show and others like it are changing the narrative about what Newark really is, because the resources were always there. It was just a matter of us taking advantage of them and making sure that the people who are now us, right, in the lead, are making those things available to the students in the community. So I give kudos to so many nonprofit organizations and many of the corporations like Prudential, PSC&G, Mars Wrigley, and the Victoria Foundation, who just invest deeply in our community. It's a benefit to have. And Raz Baraka, for all the negative things that people say about him, has done a fantastic job integrating the business community and the investment in the community and doing his best to get access for the people that lived in our community when a lot of that continues to start to happen, and making sure that the affordable housing units are in those beautiful luxury apartments that cost $3,000 a month plus. And so, everybody's doing the work. Nobody's perfect, and we're all going to have missteps. And the sad part about politicians is that when you're trying to do good and you make a decision, somebody's always going to be negatively impacted. So it's not about the politician. It's about all of us. So thank you all for being part of that community.
Thank you, Ameer. Appreciate you.
And thank you. And Asia, thank you for producing the segment. You've been producing wonderful segments, and very much appreciate it.
Right on it.
Ameer, that is such a compliment. These two men and Ed, they're not like easy people to please. Not to say but it's just like, oh my God, this is such a compliment. Thank you so much, guys. So, and yeah, this.
Tell everybody what you got, because everybody can't see it.
It's called a hip hop, a hip, the hip to the hip. You don't stop.
One of the first extra bass in the land of hip hop. That's right.
That's right.
Oh, excellent.
All right. Have a good one.
Thank you.
All right. You too. You too.
All right. Beautiful segment. Beautiful segment. All power.
And Zaid, we have our next segment that's coming on, and you can introduce this segment. It is, we've been talking about this for years, and this is part of an ongoing conversation that we have. And when we're talking about surveillance, we're talking about Islamophobia, we're talking about the ways in which if you advocate for certain things, especially within if you're advocating for Palestinians to have rights, if you're advocating for anti-war, right? If you're advocating for people in various parts of the world to be seen as human beings, you're going to be under surveillance. I remember the Newark, there was a regular organization of Muslims on Rutgers campus in Newark that was under surveillance under Cory Booker. And not that Cory Booker was doing surveillance, it was New York City police officers who were operating without him when he was mayor even knowing about it. So these things have gone way back. They affect the Newark community. But Zaid, I'll let you give the introduction of our guests. And
your prefacing is heavy, and it needs to be appreciated. Right? I have spent almost 40 years trying to get folks out of prison who've been more than surveilled, right? In terms of what happened to the COINTELPRO operation that destroyed the Black liberation movement. And I've been under surveillance since before I became a quote freedom fighter / organizer. I know that's nothing to dismiss, but we are living at a heightened time of this kind of surveillance. We are in a surveillance state. We are in a heightened time where this country is definitely on a real track to fascism. Some will say, quite frankly, that fascism is here, depending on where you sit in the conversation, right? And one of the lightning rods to advance the question of fascism is the attack, the full frontal attack on anybody or anything having anything to do with Palestinian solidarity, as we witness and try to hold the hands of imperialism and Zionism that's got a genocide right in our faces in real time, right? So that's, we need to be, that's the context that this conversation is taking in. Wassim, I'm glad, me and this young man have been texting and trying to figure out how to connect for months. I'm glad to finally get him in. Short introduction that he is now the leading spokesperson for AMP, American Muslims for Palestine, but he's loaded. He's more loaded than that, right? We're in a time where we've been raising hell around police accountability for years, have made some inroads in it. We got a ways to go yet, because the police is still the police, and their unions are their triggers for police brutality, right? But even though we've made inroads in that, there's this long arch of this struggle around police accountability that he's got some history on to it. Now, Wassim, let me ask you this before we go into it. How long have you been in Jersey?
So
recently, right?
Yeah, recently, yeah.
Right, he's a New Yorker from New Jersey, but when he was in New York, he was on the New York CCRB, right? And that's
what is the CCRB? What is that?
Civilian Complaint Review Board.
Okay.
Newark has the only CCRB in New Jersey, right? And it's a CCRB that was meant to be strong, but because of the hostility and the political clout of police unions, they went into court and dismantled the authority that we wanted to really hold police accountable. So that battle is still in full gear, right?
And it's also a battle that our governor could change by just the stroke of his hand, right?
No.
No.
I want to be clear about that. We need to clarify that, right? That has to go through the legislature first. Then a governor can sign off on it.
At this point, where it is. Right.
Yeah, that's exactly where we are. We went in the court, and the New Jersey Supreme Court said Newark and any municipality like Newark that wants a civilian review board, like the Newark design and model, can have it if it gets through the legislature, right? So that's what we're trying to do. Right. But he's got experience with the CCRB in New York, which is one of the oldest in the country, and one of the oldest fights in the country that goes directly back to the Black Panther parties, called for community control of the police in the mid-1960s, right? So there's a whole lot that I want to get into with this young man, and I know you're somebody. Well, we ain't gonna be able to do all that in a half hour. We'll do as much as we can, and you can come back any goddamn time you need to.
Yeah, I mean,
politics are local. All right.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Good evening.
So let's have some fun, right? Now, this young lady that just popped in is closer to your age and their language. Tell us your origin story, and then let's get into this conversation.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to just really go back, Mr. Alston. You said you pointed to the surveillance of Muslim students at Rutgers, right?
Yes,
in New Jersey.
In Newark campus.
Right, the Newark campus of Rutgers in Newark, New Jersey, and it was the NYPD that was running the show on that.
Right.
I can't think of any other scenario that speaks more clearly in terms of the way state surveillance functions. And it stems from a game of narratives. So my name is Wassim Kanaan. I'm so excited to get into this conversation. You all said so much, and Mr. Washington was fantastic. So I really enjoyed that. So that got me really hyped and ready to come in. But I'll take a step back. I'll take a deep breath, take a step back. I'm born and raised in Jersey, but I went to school, New York City, and then I spent 10 years in New York City, back in Jersey. And so Jersey's home.
Where are you from originally?
I'm Palestinian.
In Jersey.
I'm from Clifton.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's all right place. I enjoyed it. I'm Palestinian from the West Bank, and so historically, when one refers to my village, or you say like so, like if I was like I live near New York City or near Philly, right? It would be I live near Jerusalem. But as history has gone on and they've chopped up the West Bank and restricted access to Jerusalem, the net saying now is Ramallah. If you heard of Ramallah,
Yes, sir.
the large city in the West Bank.
Yes, sir.
So I'm from the area of Jerusalem. My village is very farm. It's a village, quite literally. But next to it, where my mom's from, is a little city. It's an interesting spot. It's an interesting spot to be in. There's so much going on in the world. There's so much going on domestically. Immigration, the Black liberation struggle is always happening. Things that we don't talk about, like Native struggles. So it's interesting to be, Palestinian here right now, because a lot's happening, but I'm honored to be here to join you all. And, I take opportunities as much as I can to, because I always ask myself, if I wasn't Palestinian, where would I stand on the issue of Palestine? How would I be on Palestine if I wasn't born Palestinian, or let's say Muslim, something else? I guess the way I answer that question is how I care and work on other issues. So I think that's the only way to answer that question. But yeah, I know Ira was mentioned. Free speech and all that good stuff. Are we interested in getting into that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. I just because there's so much that we can get into with you because of what you want to profile. Go ahead, Jonathan. Go ahead and jump in. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say that part of the when I talked to Zayed earlier, part of what he talked about was the surveillance of the surveillance of anyone who advocates for Palestinian rights, and it seems like it's an intense form of surveillance. It seems like it's assumed to be anti-Semitic when you're literally just talking about a form of political oppression, and you're talking about the oppression of people, right? And people who should not be oppressed. And in that conversation, like a large number of people who are protesting on behalf of Palestinian rights are Jewish. And there's this thing going on where you have Jewish students at Columbia who are being suspended, expelled, threatened for being anti-Semitic because of the ways in which this is being labeled, as in if you are protesting for Palestinian rights, then you are a threat,
right, Agent?
in some way.
We're talking about narrative. That's what we're talking about.
It's exactly where I'm going. You can't beat me there. Hold on.
So what has been your experience? Are you an activist? Have you been protesting on behalf? Do you find yourself to be surveilled? I don't want to make these assumptions. I know you're with an organization. I don't necessarily know what the organization fully does. So maybe that's a good segue in.
Yeah. Really quick, we'll come back to the organization. It's a game of narratives. It's, you all talked about it. Like you said, Ms. Norton, you said it. It's a game of narratives. And it's
You call me Asia. You call me Asia.
Thank you. Changing the narrative, diverting and distracting, the idea of a red herring, right? Creating like a piece of information that is it's intending to mislead you, to distract you, to go that way instead of focus. And it's so interesting. It's so interesting to see it happen. And it's like in like being executed, and then to see how people consume it, right? So, we are rooted. We talked about it. It was mentioned again. So much that you all are saying. It's just going back to it. Talk about COINTELPRO, the surveillance of the Black Panther Party and the Black Liberation Movement, when it was really building, when it was becoming something that was a community core that was, you can lean on one another, uplifting one another, and it's just tearing that whole structure down. You know what I mean? And so when we say Zionism, white supremacy is interconnected, okay, so what are we taking from that, right? So again, what are we talking about here in this particular scenario? We're talking about allegations of alleged hate, of anti-Semitism, right? That's what we're dealing with. And so what is it? What is it that's being alleged that what is the specific conduct they're alleging is anti-Semitic? Because for me, when I'm sitting here and thinking about it, and we're going into, so you all referenced back on Monday, there was a New Jersey state legislature hearing on 2 bills. It's very important to note 2 bills. A3558, which adopted the IRA definition of anti-Semitism, and then a second bill, I forget the number, that was adopting a definition of Islamophobia. And so what's the idea here? Again, it's misleading and diverting. Oh, everybody's going to be happy. Because if we do the same thing for everybody, then everybody gets the same treatment. That's the misunderstanding, or the intellectual laziness to not recognize the difference between equity and equality, equal and equitable, right? 2 different things. I don't know if we want to go into that.
So you could tell us, what is the definition and how does it impact people who are protesting?
Right. So equal is people receiving the same
like resources.
Thank you. Resources. So let's give a hypothetical scenario. There's this image. Okay, here it is. So we have a fence. Let's see if I can do this on the fly. The fence is 6 feet high. We have a person who is 4 feet tall, a person who's 2 feet tall, and a person who's 1 feet tall. To be equal is to give them all a 1 foot block to stand on. They each get a 1 foot block. That's equal. But 2 of them still can't see over the fence. Only 1 can see over the fence. I think that math is actually wrong. It has to be 2 for him to see, because it was 4 and 6. But I think you all are getting the idea. And then equitable is they each get a block to stand up high enough to see over the fence. So they get what they need to be able to see over that fence, as opposed to being given the same block to stand on, where despite being given the same block, they can't see over the fence. I hope that was a clear way that landed.
But what does it have to do with the definitions? I think those are important in terms of the definition of anti-Semitism, the definition of homophobia, and what some of the controversies are, especially when it comes to these protests.
Yeah, and then it's the question. This is a teaching platform, Wassim. You're doing PE, all right? 30 some odd states have embraced the IH, the International Holocaust Remembrance Association's definition of anti-Semitism.
Right.
And that's what's at issue, because that definition virtually makes it impossible to be critical of the state of Israel. Right. And those
so definition
move us towards the continued.
So what is the definition and what are the problematic parts, right? Let's hone this down. What is the definition? What are the problematic parts?
Got it. So thank you. So the definition is actually about like a paragraph long, and then the definition cites 11 examples of what is to be considered anti-Semitic. Okay. A few objective facts. If you look at the definition, 7 of the 11 mention Israel. None mention white supremacy or far, right extreme hate against Jewish folks. And, we see what happens in the news. We see on the synagogues in various places in Pittsburgh and other places in the country. And so, for example, the one specifically says, one of the examples is a claim that the existence of Israel is a racist endeavor. And so I think that one alone is worthy of an individual discussion. And specifically, as a Palestinian, my entire issue with the state of Israel is that it's a settler colonial state.
Yes, sir.
Right? fundamentally, so again, this is, I'm going to tie it back to the idea of a red herring. So if it's not anti-Semitism, then what is it? It must be something. Because to say anti-Semitic, that is irrational hate towards somebody, right? The alternative is opposition to settler colonialism, to being uprooted, to ethnic cleansing, to the ongoing genocide. And it's to have this conversation with the background of a genocide is absolutely absurd. Like the fact that they are unable to grasp that you're asking these questions and the examples right there as to why people are angry.
And I think that a lot of the nuance that comes in is, like, for me, the thing that simplifies it, because a lot of times when you use the term settler colonialism, people will stop. I mean, they'll be like, what do you mean by that, right? But what I'm saying is that if you're saying that you can't question the existence of a state like Israel, or you can't question a political ideology, because Zionism is not just a religious ideology, it's a religious/political ideology.
Right.
So if you can't question a state or the founding of a state, most states are founded in violence. If you took the founding of the United States, it's founded in violence. You could talk about genocide in the United States. That's not anti-American, that's just history, right? You could talk about slavery as a founding principle of the United States, which is what happened in the 1619 Project, right? That many conservatives hated because of the way it pictured the founding of the United States. That is not it doesn't even make sense in that context, right? It would be anti-American, right? So how do you go from being anti-American to a irrational or a irrational hatred of Jews, like wanting their deaths, right? Like, I think that when you're dealing with hatred, you're dealing with, you don't have any rights, you need to die, right? That is hatred. That is the things that we hate. Then when you talk about anti-Blackness, you're talking about killing Black people. You're talking about anti-Semitism, you're talking about things that will lead to the killing of Jews, right? And you're talking about and because they're Jewish, right? Because of their religion. Like, you're killing Black people, the hatred of Black people is killing Black people because they're Black, right? Like, so you are stopped at a stop. There's no other reason to have gratuitous violence against you, but the police officer happens to shoot you, right? So when we're looking at these things, we're looking at, like, what are the elements of these irrational hatred? And when you're talking about the definition, I think what you're rooting it in is that the basis of free speech is you have to be able to criticize a government and state. If you can't criticize a state, then that is by definition censorship. Israel's a state. Jewish people would be anti-Semitic based on that definition, who love Jewish people, but do not like the workings of the state, or may disagree with the way the state was founded, and think that reparations, something must be done to correct what was done at founding. Not unlike when African Americans demand reparations for slavery, or Native Americans demand, like, getting the land back in some way or some level of reparation that happened because of that. There's a founding injustice. We have to be able to debate about that and talk about that without just being silenced for just bringing it up. The settler colonialism piece, I think that there's a legitimate debate about it, right? But you can't have a debate if you can't talk about it. And it seems like you would be banned just for bringing up the term settler colonialism in relation to Israel. And is that really the heart of trying to silence?
And it's potentially criminalized.
And not potentially criminalized, definitely criminalized.
Yeah, it's a bill that would adopt this definition and into state hate crime laws. So yeah, it's criminalization.
And it's criminalization of First Amendment,
right?
So what should be protected by the First Amendment.
Right. And so, you know, so that's the fundamental argument of it, right? Especially when going to these hearings and having those conversations, is that it's in fact and as clear as the way you laid it out, that, you know, if we want to say we can criticize this country in the same ways and it wouldn't be a violation of the law, how should it be that way for a foreign government? And, you know, again, this again goes back to narratives, right? And controlling the narrative. And so the argument also is there's two more things. There is a robust state anti-discrimination law. It's a law against discrimination of New Jersey. There are protections that exist.
Hardly implemented, by the way, too. I got to say that. But
Yeah.
you're absolutely right.
Right. And another thing is that they had that bill, and then they had the Islamophobia bill. And so, like, well, not like necessarily, well, what about everybody else? You know what I mean? Like, it's putting a value on who's worth passing something for. That doesn't feel right.
And Wassim or Wassim?
Wassim.
In simplicity, when the young man got arrested from Columbia, the grad student, I can't think of Thank you. The first thing I thought about was when you're enter college, you're so open that you join every organization. You're just like, oh, I want to support that. Oh, I want to support that. And then, especially as a freshman, and you're finding yourself by the time you're a senior year.
That's just good students.
And so to think that they're doing that to students is because they're learning who they are individually outside of their home life and everything like that. So that to me is so dangerous because given, I went to school, college during apartheid in South Africa. We were protesting all over the place. We were divest out of this, do that, and things like that. So to do it to college students, my God, and I'm thankful that the professors got back in because they're probably still there and they remember what is going on. But even what we're seeing that's going on, that Zoran has gotten a nominee for the primary, what people who are sitting in their seats and our representative are doing. Marjorie Greene's posts a picture with the Statue of Liberty and the Women's Muslim Guard. Like, oh, we said we would never forget 9/11. Have we? The things that have been coming at him because he has won the primary. There's no protection for him.
You ain't
They
seen
should have been lying. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You ain't seen nothing yet. That's me editorializing. You on your roll. Go ahead.
No, that's what I'm just like. So to your point, it's so selective as to who's being protected and who's not being protected. And you see, I had asked, I don't know if you've seen it, if Jonathan if we could have discussed, there was a discussion on The View and the comparison of Iran and what we just like, Black people feel like that all the time. But people who are not Black were dismissive of her. And it wasn't anything to dismiss because you haven't walked in her shoes or had a child who have to go out here and how you feel about boys. And she gave a great example of the young man who was running in Florida. My son can't run through, just a jog and things like that. So
it's easy to dismiss when you have the privilege to dismiss. And that's what white supremacy is.
It's not only just the privilege of dismissing, but it's also you benefit from the dismissal.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's the protecting the privilege and abuse. And so that's the thing about privilege. Me personally, I don't think anything's wrong with privilege. I want Jonathan to have all the privilege. I want me to have all the privilege.
Right.
Everyone should be privileged. It's just more so privilege is just being gatekeep it.
Exclusive too.
And so to a certain group of people. And then when you attack like DEI that's trying to expand the privilege, right, or expand access to the privilege, then it's a problem because now that group of people that benefit from privilege now feel as though like now their seats are being taken. Like, oh, that was for me, now I can't have it. Now going back to the definitions that you were mentioning before, that truly is the issue of that's a First Amendment violation from just from the face of it. And so I do wonder, like, that's going to be challenged. So it goes through, like it's signed, it's going to be challenged, and it's going to be very telling on what the courts do with it. And because the First Amendment is going to go through the district courts and not the state, well, it could go to the state court, but probably the district courts. But because like censoring, like censoring more so, censoring speech, and it's truly like one of those things like the founders of this country truly believed in. Hey, we need, first of all, the founders of our country spoke out about colonial rule, right? And so, like, the very thing that the country is founded on is now the very thing that is trying to be eliminated. And so, for me, I'm a big fan. Wow, we have our issues with the Constitution, right? Because the Constitution definitely enumerated slavery, right? But it's a living
We had a
document.
decision today on the 14th Amendment, which was a response to the end of slavery.
Yeah. Well, there was no decision on the 14th Amendment. It was the decision on the injunctions.
Right.
And so I do want that part to be
Which
like
is
clarified.
And full also
crazy.
clarification, Asia is a lawyer.
We shifted into like 3 different issues in this one question, but you should definitely comment on the Supreme Court decision that we just talked about.
Who? Me?
And Asia is a lawyer.
Yeah.
For everyone who does not.
Door has been open, Asia.
I know. I'm a baby lawyer, and so I'm still navigating my way through it. And that's not to belittle me; it's more so to humble and set clear expectations. But it's just one of those things where we have to be thoughtful and mindful of what we want to do. And when I say we, when a law is being enacted, it is a law of the land. Right. And so it becomes a we, even if I disagree with it, even if I oppose it, it's still like we're a country, one country. And so we have to be very mindful of what we want to do and what the actual implications mean, because it kind of, you go down a rabbit hole. You're like, hey, let's make this exception here. But if you make this exception here, then what does that mean for everything over here? It's just something that we have to be mindful of and fight and etc.
And so the question, and I think that whole explanation was really good, especially when dealing with their basic First Amendment rights and where do you make those exceptions. I think that you have talked about white supremacy and how those definitions don't include it, right? My questions are going to shift a little bit. Anytime I have conversations about movements with other Black and brown people, right? Given what happened in the last election, where Trump, who was an avowed he was the most blatant white supremacist appeal that I've seen in my lifetime, right? We knew what was coming. He openly spoke and had advisors who not just flirted with white supremacy, openly said things that were white supremacist, openly pushed policies that were going to be white supremacist. And we knew this. It wasn't a dog whistle, it was blatant. But there were many people of color ended up voting in, it didn't connect that white supremacy that was being espoused would hurt them, right? As in, if the other person had won, and again, I'm not a fan of Democrat, Republican, et cetera, right? But I just know that there are certain things that are blatant Ku Klux Klan white supremacy. The issues that we're having now with the 14th Amendment, not questioning whether the 14th Amendment being a thing, would not have been happening. And what we would be protesting, we'd all be probably protesting what was going on in Israel, Palestine, and Gaza, right? That would be the center of mass movements right now had the other person got elected, because that's an issue that there was going to be a lot of pushback from, right? Do you think that in dealing and educating people within our own communities, that is other, whether it be other Arabs, other Latinos, do you think that is a problem that communities of color have? The highest rate that Trump gained in new voters wasn't even with white voters. It was with first generation immigrants, right? People who had gotten their citizenship. And within those communities, I think that within the Latino communities in swing states, the majority of Latino males went toward Trump. Like the white supremacist message was popular, even in places like Michigan. Without the Arab jump, he might have lost. He might not have won that state. Um, at least that's what a lot of the analysis and numbers are coming back in terms of the exit polls. How much work needs to be done or has to be done within our own communities to address the specifics of not just Islamophobia, but anti-blackness, and how this country is rooted in, like, the people who are trying to befriend you, if they're rooted in white supremacy, it will never include you. And that we all need to unify against white supremacy, period. Like, it is never tolerable. It is never tolerant. We should never have it in our community. If you're Latino, never to white supremacy. Colonialism, always bad. Whenever it's coming at you, if it's blatant, push back. How much work do we need to do within our own communities to make that into a reality?
A lot, a lot. So I'll start with, I can't speak in generalizations too much when talking about specifically when it comes to the fact that such a large and very diverse group of immigrants voted for Donald Trump. I can't generalize that because I think there are different buckets of people because of background, experiences, history of general groups. For those, some of them, there are folks who are just hungry for hope. You know what I mean? Hungry for opportunity, hungry for something to look forward for. So it's so I organize in the community. It's not a job. It's what I do because I love my community. Not everything falls on me, but at the same time, as a leader, as somebody who's leading, you have to give people a desire to follow you by treating them well, right? So when we talk about work within our communities, in my community specifically, in some communities specifically, the ones that you mentioned, where it's like first generation, and this isn't to excuse the immediate harm they cause people. So I want to call that out, is that this ignorance is harmful, which makes people complicit, and that needs to be said. But the question is that I understand is, how do we go from here? How do we get away from that? How do we get from an area to a place where that's not the case, and we get to the picture that you painted for us?
Absolutely.
And I think it starts with listening to people. Again, man, we go back to the Black Panther Party and the idea of breakfast and the idea of collective childcare, shared care, and education, and all these things. Like, that's what was taken from the Black community. That base that was, just the foundation. And so we need to, I think, to combat what's happening, is be strategic and go back and make sure our foundations are sound. And then people get incentive to come in, to buy in, to give them something. Zoran was mentioned. Zoran is an interesting situation. I think you all can assume that I wanted him to win based on this conversation.
I'll say that. I want to make that clear too. Go ahead.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But there's a lot of, but then comes the bureaucracy of New York City, right? Like, there's a lot of promises there. He pointed to a few things where it's very tangible. It's actually not going to cost money. It's a policy change regarding the rent and I think at least one more thing. Paying for, again, tell me that universal childcare is not going to improve people's lives. If you have a child and you have, to work who need help with childcare. Everybody knows that childcare in this country is an arm and a leg. And
Right.
that alone is a big factor to people being unhappy. That takes away a large chunk of cash or money. It just does a lot to you. You know what I'm saying? So I think that I spent a lot of time thinking about this and sulking about this because of what you're saying. The reality was wild post November 24th. The reality of how things went and how the numbers went. It was really, really disheartening. Michigan was just there. It's all coming out, by the way, now saying, "Oh, never mind." So the populist message. You talk about educating our community. That's critical, right? The thing is, education.
Because I think that, and I know we're running out of time, but
Yeah.
what I wanted to hone in on, right? Like even with the elections in New York City, one of the things the winning candidate directly said, he addressed an organization for reparations. He was like, "Yeah, I am absolutely for them, and here's why." And I thought that was important in terms of him doing that, right? And and I think that was really important for doing that. But the question really is centered on how do you have that table by table, hand to hand combat within our own communities, with our aunties and our uncles, right? With our family members, with the people in our community who are voting in ways or who really have like anti-black sentiments. Like for example, in Newark, we had a huge incident at one of our high schools where there were like Latino kids calling other black kids the N-word and lots of intense racial harassment. And you had certain politicians who may not have fully gotten the extent of that, right? And the extent of why that's bad. In Los Angeles, of course, you had the situation where the council people were talking about black members of their constituents, right? Like you have levels of anti-blackness within our communities. How do you deal with that on as community organizers, as people who communicate, within our communities? How do we have those internal conversations to beat our people up when they need to be beat up, or at least educated about why
Yeah, I think
anti-blackness you need to be concerned about?
Jonathan, if I could say something really quick. One is acknowledging what America stands for. And it's like, so like to be American is to be anti-black. Like that's how you adopt American values, right? And so it's just like Malcolm X once said that like the first word that immigrants learn once they come here is like the N-word, right? And so
James Baldwin, right?
and so to be American means you have to be anti. Like to be American means you have to be white. And so to be white means you have to be anti-black. And then also, so like going directly to your question of how do you educate? I feel like, and well, not correct me if I'm wrong, but from my perspective, they're kind of being educated right now, right? With everything that's going on. And so if you're seeing, like, if you identify as Latina, Hispanic, and like you might, like you are an American citizen, but your family isn't, but you voted for Trump. And again, Trump, like you said, Jonathan, was very direct and explicit of what his intentions were and what he was going to do when he became president, and how they internalized that as that's not me, that's not us, like that's them. And now, like we hear stories each and every day of, oh my God, I voted for him, and now my family member is being deported. It's like, do community organizers have to teach that lesson or the internal? Because it seems like the lesson is being taught.
Well,
is there,
the only
what I'm gonna
pushback that
say
I would
is,
give on that, the
what
only
John, is
pushback I
there,
would give
what
on that
is there a
is
difference
that the
between
same
what you
thing
said?
is,
Well, John,
well, I was
before
going to
you say
say,
that, before you say
wait,
that,
wait, wait.
Jonathan,
I was just going to
go.
say the same thing happened in 2016. You
Mhm.
had people who were deported who voted for Trump. Like these stories happened already in 2017,
Agreed.
2018. You have people who served in the U.S. military, who served in the U.S. military to get citizenship and were betrayed because these same type of white supremacists, they don't want any of us, right? They're very clear. They don't want black. They don't want brown. They're using terms that they poison our blood. They did that during the campaign, and they sent people away and betrayed people who voted for them the last time. That's the only reason why that's the pushback.
No,
People didn't learn.
I was going to ask, is there a difference between indoctrination and education?
It could be one or the same. It depends. It depends.
Indoctrination assumes force.
I think
I would say indoctrination, you're not given, and so indoctrination, you're being told what to think. Education, you learn to think.
And I say that because, see, we're in the tri-state area. And I don't know if you remember, probably closer to 2016, there was a big case with the news, like middle country, like Oklahoma, your South and North Dakotas. Everybody was getting the same news message, say like if you were in Russia or China or something like that. But here we have an abundance of resources that other people may not have, that may be more like they're being fed a narrative, like in certain areas where it's more rural and things like that. So, and it's very different than here, but you can go to some places, and I think they did it, and they showed like one news, if you can remember it, it was like one news person, and then they showed like 50, like a box like this, but 50, and it was different things, but they were all saying the same thing. So outside of our area, I think people receive information very differently, especially in rural areas.
Well, let me say this, and Wassim, I want you to respond to this, right? In this particular area, right? Given what we want our guests to focus on, right? In terms of mainstream media, the line is fundamentally the same. And the line is a very strong Zionist foundation and function and purpose and intent. And it's almost a miracle. I mean, Mandami winning that primary is miraculous. He did that in a Zionist beachhead. And I'm talking about not just politically, but in media narrative and media control, right? The fact that what we have in Wassim in this conversation, that I can see Wassim on New Jersey Spotlight News a few years ago, unheard of. But because there is a full-fledged multiracial Palestinian solidarity movement that has taken on such a mighty responsibility and push, it has forced the conversation in other spaces that has imposed itself politically on the narrative, the way people's power ultimately has to do.
I know that we've gone a little over in terms of our section. So we do want to end this out because we have our next guest that's up. But I'd like to, because I know we ended off heavy. We're going to have you back. But Wassim, we would love to have you end off this segment with the closing out this topic.
Yeah, I'll keep it very quick. I think you take on the aunties and uncles and cousins by saying it straight up to their face. Don't let them say anything silly in front of you. Call it out, correct it. When they see your face, they know they can't say silly things. It's very important. We take back our humanity. It's as simple as that. We claim who we are. We define who we are. We don't play by their rules. We set the stage. We set our narrative, and we go forward. And we ran forward, and we don't play their game. I think it's really important to do that, to make sure that we play our game, not their game. And that's how I think the only way to break out of this deluded reality that people live in, that we're trying to fight against.
This Twilight Zone. Asia, you have the question for him?
Yes.
I love how I'm the designated asking the question. So Wassim, thank you so much for coming on All Politics Are Local. We're definitely going to have you back. You are an official family member. And so before we let you go, though, we ask all of our guests this question. Who's your favorite rap artist, rap group, and/or rap song? It doesn't have to be, you can answer one, you can answer all, but yeah, the mic is yours.
Man, okay, so I'll start this way. I'll say Forest Hills Drive, J. Cole, that era was my stuff, and then unfortunately the later albums were rough. So J. Cole was my man for a minute. The best rap group, I mean, are we talking about ever, or did I have to live them? Listen,
it could be anything. If you're
NWA,
rocking with it.
like,
There's some hot stuff happening in Palestinian hip hop.
there are so many fire artists. I will bring that back with me next time. But I would say NWA. I mean, as far as music, my man Mr. Washington shouted out West Coast rap. I mean, like, and things, you know, we're from here. I mean, I love rest in peace Biggie. You know what I mean? And I mean, we can't really talk about other people right now, but you know, it was a scene here too. But West Coast rap was, I think.
Yeah, well, I see J. Cole was good till Kendrick took him out. He had to concede.
No, he didn't even give Kendrick a chance to take him out. He just stepped out of the way.
Fair enough.
That's right. I said he conceded.
It was the wise one who just was like, I'm not.
Well, Wassim, don't wait for the phone call, Wassim. If you think it's something that we need to know, that you need to get some aunties and uncles, and we need to educate them here, please give us a call.
Thank you. I appreciate
thank you so much. All right, take care. All right, and thank you for another wonderful segment on All Politics Are Local. And Rahaman Muhammad, welcome back. We always love having you on because the conversation is
everybody got their
always
pastrami
lively.
sandwich? Go to your door. There's a pastrami sandwich at the door.
Oh man, so
Big as my head.
We always love having you on because we always know that it's going to be we always know that the conversation is going to be lively. But in a big shout out, yes, I said that I was going to shout out Big Rocs Deli because it's delicious and and I'm not no lie, they have the best pastrami sandwiches in New Jersey. And even though we have a lot of good competition in different parts of New Jersey, like I've had some other places down the street, I've had some other places in East Rutherford. I love pastrami sandwiches. It's my favorite of all sandwiches. I've had pastrami sandwiches almost every place in New Jersey and New York. You can have pastrami sandwiches. I'm telling you, this is the best pastrami sandwich in New Jersey by far. I don't know what you do with the pastrami and the beef, but it is delicious. Great place for food and conversation.
I appreciate that, my brother. You know, we cook it. I don't know what the guy do to cure it, but we cook it. So I tell him all the time, he got the magic sauce. I need his recipe so I can open my own pastrami distribution because whatever he's doing with that pastrami is just, I promise you, is addictive.
Oh my goodness! I unfortunately no. I have to definitely push back.
And before you go, Rahman, your mother's desserts. That's your mother's desserts, right? Desserts is out of this world.
The bean pie and the sweet potato pie is hers. The rest
Yeah.
is the local vendor.
Great desserts.
Yeah, the vendor, we use a local vendor for the cakes and the banana pudding, and then my daughter makes the peach cobbler, which by the way is a huge seller here. That was my daughter's recipe, and if she's not making it, her mother's making it. But yeah, that's probably one of our biggest sellers for our desserts.
Okay. I know that I have to. I've been trying to lose weight and all the other stuff, so I have to limit the amount that I come here. But that bean soup is also good. Bean soup is also amazing. So all that. So even if you're trying to watch your weight, bean soup is awesome. But all that, right? You are an incredible political mind, union organizer, current deputy mayor. You have been involved in politics for over 2 decades, one way or another, and you have been saying a lot about the elections in the elections that have just passed, and I think we're getting a lot of feedback from you.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I got 2 customers, some last minute customers. They about to leave though. You'll hear. So
Oh no,
if
that's
you hear
right.
the background, that's what it is.
Okay.
They need to be taken care of.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they about to leave.
Absolutely. I'd be mad if I got there and wasn't able to get a pastrami sandwich. I'd be like, what the heck?
And Rahman, we're not worried about nobody talking over you. We know that you can use your voice, so go ahead and talk.
Yeah. I'm definitely gonna speak loud and clear.
So what's up? Right now we've had our governors. We've had the primary for governor. We have Mikey Sherrill, who is the Democratic nominee for governor. We know that Ras Baraka came in a very strong second. We know that Fulop came in third. And that the question that, though, and I think it's a legitimate question, is many assume that people are just going to vote Democratic. If it's, don't vote Democratic, because if you don't vote Democratic, then Trump will get in, and Chitterelli is Trump, and you have to do that. And there isn't really a call for a demand
Right.
for what Raz was talking about. He wasn't running for the position of lieutenant governor, and I think you said that quite clearly, and I clap for that, right? Because I'm like, I don't really care if he gets a position, right? Like, I'm good for him, that's great, but that's not why we supported him. We supported him because of the specific issues that he ran on. Those issues affect our community, and if he gets a position and those issues get ignored, then we don't care, right? Like, that's not going to affect us. Has the has the uh, has the candidate reached out to Baraka about adopting the agenda, the important parts of the agenda that would deal with um, that deal with affordability, that deal with a CCRB, that deal with the levels of education funding, the redistribution, the generational wealth inequality, as opposed to what she was talking about with third grade test scores? Has there been an effort to substantially reach out on the issue of the platform?
So yes, there has been. The question to me isn't right about a reach out. I mean, I think there's no question that there's going to be a reach out, right? The question is, can she articulate the problem, and can she articulate a solution to the problem? Because you just can't adopt his solution and, you know what I'm saying, and try to articulate the way he articulates what the problem is, because I mean, he come from the problem, you know what I'm saying? He's had solutions about the problem. He has experience with the problem, with the issues. And unfortunately, she does not. And so, she's a multimillionaire, so, her lifestyle isn't what our life is. And so she can't relate to the problem that we relate to, just by nature of the fact that that's not where she comes from. And so, yeah, she's reached out, but, we will see how effective it is. I think that, people are getting nervous because they see my posts online. And like you said, John, like, I'm not jumping into the whole D thing no more. I'm on my way out of politics. You know what I'm saying? Listen, the mayor's gonna run for re-election. I probably got a good 4 years left in politics, if that. You know what I'm saying? I might decide to leave early. I don't know. But
Wait, is that breaking news? Hold on, is
what
that
me?
breaking news?
What,
No,
that the
is the
mayor's gonna
mayor
run
running
for
for
re-election?
re-election?
Yeah, the mayor's gonna run for re-election. You know what I'm saying? As
Okay,
mayor. And so I'm here as long as he's here, right? If he decides to leave early, I'm leaving early.
but
You
question,
know?
is that official? Is he definitely
Yes,
deciding to
he's
run for a
running.
fourth term?
That's his intention, to run again for re-election. Yes,
All
he's
So
asked
you
right,
us
so I
might
that.
think
be
we
here
heard it
for
here
another
first.
8. You might be here for another 8 years too. On the other side of that.
Well, I don't know about that, right? I mean, listen, I'll be honest with you. I'm leaving when the mayor leaves. So,
Yeah.
my assumption is that if he runs this term, I really doubt that he's going to want to run for mayor again after this term. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you say
That's
he's
my
gonna be
belief. I don't know for sure, but I don't think that his plan, just like my plans, has not been to be forever in these positions, right? You know what I'm saying? It's to do what we can while we're here, and then to move on to trying to do something else to better ourselves. And to be honest with you, spend some time with our family. I mean, that brother
right.
has got a lot of pressure, man. He going through a lot. I mean, at what age do you just calm down and say, all right, I'm gonna spend some quality time? He got little kids, folks. You know what I'm saying, that he's raising. I mean, at what point in time do you say, listen, I want to spend some quality time with my kids, man? They going through elementary school, or they on their way to high school. Like, I just want to spend some time with them and see them through. So, I mean, our time is when we got less years ahead of us than behind us, and the time is for us to, what I'm saying, talk about how do we move an agenda forward, right? Not just because we Democrats, right? And so I'm getting a lot of people mad at me and sending me inboxes, and some people questioning, what are you doing? Like, the big bad Chitterelli You know what I'm saying? He's coming. Trump is like, I'm sorry, folks. I'm not afraid of none of that. No, if we're not getting something substantial, tell me. And I ask everyone that come to me, tell me what we got now that we're going to lose. And can't nobody answer me that. Can't
Well,
nobody
Especially,
answer.
especially you only get
Huh?
0.5%, not even 1%, 0.5, a half a percent of all the contracts in this area. And
And the state too,
well,
like
come
not
on,
just Newark.
right?
I mean, not just New Jersey. I mean, Essex County in the state of New Jersey. So it's like, I don't, somebody got to tell me what is it that we have currently that we're losing. And see, if you can't address that to me, then what are we talking about? Joe D and them sat there and endorsed Chris Christie for 2 terms.
They did.
Two terms they
They
endorsed. Well,
did.
they
Yeah, they did.
backdoored them the first door. They backdoor endorsed the first term, and then they endorsed their homeboy in the second term. Nobody got mad at them. They didn't lose no power. They still are all powerful. Like all of this stuff, right? They did, and nobody batted an eye about it. But people question my post on Facebook, like, Rock, what are you doing? You got an influence. You influencing people. I ain't say I wasn't voting for Mickey Sherrill. I said I'm not there yet, and I'm not. You know what I'm saying?
and
Because
and,
I
and
don't.
Rockland, and I think that's what it is, because I think, wearing a Democrat, being a Democrat and voting your conscience at the time of the election are two very things, because you're following the issues and you're voting accordingly and you're lining up with the issues at said election. And I think that it's not once a Democrat, always a Democrat type of thing. But I don't think people today, and Jonathan, you said this in an earlier segment, why are people voting this way and not lining up with their issues? And I think that's more important. And to your point, what you just said, about Congresswoman Cheryl being able to articulate in a manner in which Mayor Baraka. So that to me says that she needs some surrogates to be able to go some places and talk, because she does. I mean, we have to do this as a team. She can't do it all alone.
But to me, we beyond surrogates. I'm sorry, right? We always got surrogates out there, folks. I keep trying to tell you, we always supporting the person that say they're going to do for us. I'm
Mm-hmm.
tired of that. I'm just tired of it. At what point are we going to support an individual that is really going to do for us? Like, I mean, I supported the mayor running for governor because we need drastic change, right? I don't believe that's drastic change. I just don't believe it. And I have not seen anything but the same folks around her that'll give me the same thing that currently exists, that will what motivate me to say, okay, that's going to be better for me. Why? Because it's a Democrat? No, I just can't go with that one on this one. I'm not saying that. I'm not telling nobody not to vote for her. I think people should vote their conscience. And there's no option for me where I got to vote for one or other. I'm sorry, I wrote in many candidates. And at the end of the day, if I don't think that either one of them is going to benefit me personally, Rahaman Muhammad will write a candidate in, just like I've done in the past. We need to get some substance out of the Mickey Sherrill campaign, period. What are we going to get? What is our
Absolutely.
community going to get? And I don't want no just talk. Don't come tell me about round the issues. First of all, whatever the mayor teacher on the issues, she's not going to be able to relate to that. So I'm telling y'all right now, the issues that address us, it's going to have to be dealt with one of us, right? But what are we going to get for our community that's going to make us say, wow, you know what, man, I love that. I'm going for Mickey Sherrill. Or I'm going for a Shitterelli. You know what I'm saying? Like, even these people that support him. Like, I'm like, y'all keep telling me about what is this guy going to do? Like, y'all support him because you just don't want to support a Democrat. You're not supporting him because he's going to be better for the community. Clearly, what he's saying is not better for our community. We clear about that. You know what I'm saying? So it's not support him or support Sherrill. It's to me like, as Black people and Latino people, we have to go and we have to make them at minimum believe, folks, if you're not going to give us anything of substance, then you know what? Maybe we just gonna go ahead and do something differently, and it don't have to be Republican. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to start thinking like our vote is more valuable than a surrogate vote. We're not getting, listen, I just said it. Less than percent. We 0.33. I keep beating this
That's
horse because I
obscene.
want people to understand how
In
angry I am
2025, that's
about this
obscene.
stuff. Less than 0.33%. That's less than a percent. That ain't even a half a percent, by the way, so we clear, of business in this county. Oh, and by the way, in the state. And we have a Democratic controlled assembly, a Democratic controlled Senate, and a Democratic controlled governor, all of which our community helped elect. And by the way, they would not be elected without black and brown people. They would not be in charge. But yet black and brown people don't get nothing for that.
And then the
At
flip
what
side,
point do we stand up?
we're the largest consumers.
And right. At what point do we stand up? So I'm taking a position. At the end of the day, I'm on my way out the door. And guess what? I'm going to make sure I take some of those folks that's still here with me on my way out the door, because they're no good for our community. And we need to train up these young folks to fight for something different so they can have it better than what my generation had. We got to keep on just following this road. Somebody hit me on one of my friends told myself, oh, you got two choices. Either you support Schiaparelli or you support Sherelle. No, that's not my two choices. Where you get that from? You know what I'm saying? I got other options. And we have to get away from this believing that that's our only two options. We have the only way we're going to turn around and take a stand. People going to know if we serious about wanting something substantial for our community is if we take a stand. And at what point do we take a stand? Because running Mayor Baraka was my stand. It was many of our stands. Jonathan, it was your stand. It was many of our stand. We fed up. We saying we want something different. Guess what? It's a lot of people in this state that wanted something different because he came in second amongst other people who had way more money than him, way more name recognition than him, and he came in second place. And the only reason why he didn't become in first place is because he just didn't have the resources to go into that middle New Jersey where those machines supported her for governor, where he could have got his message out even more. The reality of the matter is that people want change. We have to stand. He won in places. He won in the mayor from Belleville. He won in Belleville.
Right.
He won in Belleville. What is that saying to you? He won in Belleville. He beat in Union County, Essex County. He beat in Patterson. He almost beat him. But what is that saying to you? That there's an electorate that's rising up that's saying, I'm tired of this, just like we supporting you and we get nothing in return for it.
That's right.
And Rahman, and you also in every town hall debate that he won in, he always was first or second, correct?
Yeah,
around the state.
You talking about the debates? I think he won every debate. I don't think
he won every one. Okay, I didn't get to go, but
I don't think he lost any debate.
I think she's talking about the county. The county.
Oh, you talking about? Oh, yeah, the county. You talking about when he?
Around the state,
yeah. When he went to the county operation, right? He either came in first or he came in second. No question.
And I say that to say, because if he's in the room and he has the opportunity to talk with you, whether in that setting or one-on-one, I remember when he was down to the shore area and some of the testimonies that came out of that, and particularly one woman was like, well, I'm glad you came to my door because now I see a candidate and things like that. And people and his ability to connect and meet people where they are is very, very tremendous.
Listen, if the mayor had more resources, if he would have started his campaign probably extra, because Schiaparelli been running for 4 years, to be honest with you. Sherelle been running for 4 years because they've been, the party bosses have been pushing her since, you know what I'm saying, Murphy won as, they knew it was going to be his last term. They've been pushing that she was going to be, the Democratic nominee for the last 4 years since he was elected governor, since Murphy was elected governor. So pretty much all of them already been pretty much going around the state between Schiaparelli, between Sherelle, and including Steve Fuller. Been pretty much going around the state for same with Steve Sweeney. Been pretty much going around the state for 4 years, pushing their candidacy, meeting with organizations, trying to get these county operate these county machines to support them in office. So it's, it wasn't shocking that she was winning this because a lot of them had already came to the conclusion that's what it was going to be. But here's the question, right? I mean, as many people that's running around and say, "Oh, we supporting Mickey Sherelle because we don't think Raz can win." Well, now they nervous that she can't win.
Right.
You know
Right.
what
And the
I'm saying?
thing is,
So
right.
right. So it's like, what are we talking about here? Like, if you want to energize a people, you got to get, if you wanted something different, then you got to get. Look what happened in New York, y'all. Look at them young
Yeah,
people in New York rose up and
yeah,
said, we tired
yeah.
of this machine. We don't care what this man's saying. This man's saying stuff. Even if we know he's not going to give us a $30 hour increase or be able to get, at least he's saying and fighting that, listen, we have to make this affordable. Listen, folks, y'all
Right.
are pushing people out of their homes. You're making it so they can't live no more. You know what I'm saying? People have to be able to afford a living, a standard of living. He's pushing that conversation. And that's the reason why he ran, why he won. We got these same tired politicians that have been in office for decades. And the Democratic Party is the worst when it comes to this. And you know what I'm saying?
Strong,
They
man.
deal,
It was bad
they
in New York. And the
they the
black
worst when it comes to this.
Democrats are
This
better.
this 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 patriarchy that they have, as far as, oh, it ain't your turn, it ain't your time, you have to wait. They got people that rather die in office than to pick somebody up like Asia Norton here and say, hey, maybe you should think about putting your name in the ring and taking over some of these politics and being in
Right.
position and being in office. I mean, this is like, at what point do we understand we don't live that life? You know what I'm saying? These young folks got to stand up and start living their life. But if we in their way because we still think it's our time, then we get the status quo that we're getting now. And it's even worse for us because I'm going to say it again. It is embarrassing to think that less than 1% of the business in this
Come on,
county has went to
come on.
black people and brown people when we are the
2025.
majority in this county. I'm going to say it again, and I keep saying it. If that was anywhere else, they
Be
would
black.
burn it down.
Come on.
They would burn
And
it down
and
if the shoe was
and
on
you're
the other
saying this
foot.
from, and when you're giving these numbers and you're saying this because like for the last 12 years, you have been working directly with economic development in the city of Newark, right? Like as a deputy mayor, you have been like, so you see the numbers. When you're talking about these numbers, you're talking about numbers you see as part of what you've been doing, right?
You can't,
Like
like, it's,
where the stuff comes from.
where's it going? I'm gonna say it again. We
Right.
keep on we keep being pacified, and I'm telling you, like, y'all really don't understand how upset I am about some of this stuff. I'm really is, because I'm going after people that I helped get in office. I need y'all to understand this. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about I'm calling out names that people that I actually, when I was a union leader, I helped a lot of them get in office.
What
I
you
actually
talking
worked against my mentor to get Joe D in office, by the way. I worked
Oh wow.
against him behind the scenes to help Joe D get in office. So y'all have to understand the anger that I have to understand that, and it ain't just his fault. So cause I get people to believe like, oh, no, I'm not, it ain't about just Joe. What about all the African Americans and Latinos that sit on that freeholder or commissioner board that has sat there and allowed for this to go on?
Wow.
What are we doing? What are we doing, folks? I made a post the other day about a conversation that me and Steve had. I don't know if many of y'all read it about conversation.
Yes, we did read it.
Okay,
But
you know
tell
what
us
I'm saying?
about it. Tell us about it.
The conversation about, like, you know what I'm saying, when he snaked me on the school board candidate that we had, and he said to me,
And that means that he wanted you to run for school board. You wanted you to run for Newark School Board, and you got into a meeting, and what happened?
no, he didn't want me to run. So, me and him started building a relationship in 2007, and we used to have these monthly lunches. He would always call me over once a month for these lunches. Me and we used to just go back and forth about politics and do all this other stuff. I actually started enjoying me and his lunch, but generally I was there like really insulting him, like saying, yo, you shouldn't be this, you shouldn't be doing this, you did it wrong. And I used to tell him he must be a sucker for punishment because all I do is come over here and insult him. I used to think he liked it. But one day he asked me to join with him on a school board race, and so I picked a candidate that was supposed to run. But when he invited me to his meeting, Steve was in the charter school, right? And that's not what I did. I was a union leader for public employees. So charter school wasn't something that I was for. And so when he allowed for me to get up and speak at his meeting, he realized that this guy is not towing the charter school line. I mean, I pretty much was up there telling like, Steve, I'm not into the charter school thing. This is like literally in his meeting. And I understood he was upset about that, but so what? That's what I was going to do. And he removed my candidate off the ticket. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't really care too much about it because it was an advisory board at the time. But you know, one time, one of the lunches that me and him had, we was going back and forth about something, and he was trying to get me to support something else he wanted to do. And I said to him, man, you just snaked me on my school board candidate because I wouldn't support your charter school philosophy. And he said to me, you knew I was a snake when you sat down here and had lunch with me. That was his response.
Ha 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 ha.
And the crazy thing about it was, Jonathan, he was right. And all I could do in response when he said that was laugh and say to him, dude, this guy is so right. Like, you know what I'm saying? I knew what I'm getting into from the beginning. Like, I shouldn't be surprised. And the problem is, like, why are we surprised about what is happening to us or the fact that we got less than 1% of the business in this county? Because the reality of the matter is we know the people we sitting down with is a bunch of snakes. And they don't care nothing about our community.
Not at all.
Not at all. And so the problem here is either we're going to keep sitting down with them and pretending they our friends, or we're going to do something about the snakes. At least Steve was real about it. At least he was honest. At least he was letting me know up front. Listen, dude, if you come and work something out with me, it might not work out the way you wanted it to be because you know what I am. These people make you believe that they for you, and they not. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at this Wyona Lippman Court building that's about to be put up with her name on the side of it. Did they give the family the money to put the name on the building? Did they get the contract for that? Like, at what point do we stop worrying about statues and building names and park names after us and start talking about, no, we want business? Because their people are getting the business to build these statues, to build these buildings, to put your name up on these buildings, to put your name up on that park. Their people is getting the money to do that, and all you doing is walk around getting the name.
Say that. Say that. Say that.
All you doing is walking around like you own something. You don't own nothing. And by the way, you didn't even get the money to put it up.
Wow.
Like, at some point, we have to be tired of that, Johnson. I'm just being honest. At what point do we just say enough? Enough. And I'm at the point in my life right now, because like I said, I mean, what you gonna do to me? Like, what you gonna do to me? Like, seriously, what you gonna do to me? You know, I don't need them. So what they gonna do to me? Like, I'm at the point in my life where I'm saying, listen, enough of it. And because I done built a reputation, because I do got a voice, I'm gonna use my voice to remind folks it is time for people to think about retiring the way I'm thinking about retiring. Because you have been in the way, you've been in the way of my progress, and I'm not gonna let you be in the way of my kids' progress. And like I said the other day when I made that post, we need to stop supporting people who want to maintain a system that keeps my babies working for their babies, or keeping our babies working for their babies, because that's exactly what is going on. And we need to wake up from it and just stop it.
And the
100%.
and so I know that the county executive race, I think that it's going to be a race the next time, right? I think that given the numbers that Mayor Baraka had in Essex County, in spite of not being endorsed by the county executive, I think there probably will be some changes there with the next time that runs. I think that there were a lot of people who got the mayor's support who did not come out to support or endorse him, right? And to be clear, this is not like a personal vendetta thing. This is like the mayor was very clearly had an agenda that benefited them, right? And benefited their communities. And many people know that he had an agenda that benefited their communities because his communities came out and supported them in spite of the leadership saying otherwise. Are we going to start seeing the ramifications of that very soon? Like, as in, there are a lot of people. The good thing, one of the good things about this last election is that there is a clear progressive base. There are a lot of people who will come out and vote for their future in ways that will buck the establishment. And I think that that has the power to happen on a local level and a county level before it happens on a state level again. Is that part of the thinking too? Like when you're saying some people got to go?
Listen, it's my thinking that, listen, I think we got to tear it down and build it back up. I'm just being honest with you, all of it. And I do agree with you. We got 21 counties in this state, and we don't have one black county exec. 21 counties, folks. So you're absolutely correct. If you can't get a black county exec, what makes you think you're going to get a black governor? I mean, we have to be,
You
we
know,
have to be,
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say Payne Sr. said we were more closer to a black county exec when he ran than we, or further when he ran, you know, and how long ago was it when he ran for county exec? I'll never forget he said that.
Who you saying, Payne?
Payne,
Did Payne
Donald
say
Payne
that? I
Sr.
don't remember.
Senior.
Did he run for county exec?
Yeah, we were young.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know.
Mhm.
I don't even remember him running for county exec. But
Yeah.
you know, I'm telling you right now, we got 21 counties and not one, and we haven't even been close. I don't even know a black candidate that ran for county exec other than Cardell Cooper and Ken Gibson. You saying Donald Payne Sr., but
No,
the
no,
ones that
I'm sorry. It was Cardell Cooper and Ken Gibson.
Right,
That's when
right,
he was referring to them that we were closer then
right.
and now we're further apart. Yeah.
Right. I mean, those are the only two black folks across the state that I remember running for a county exec position, to be honest with you. Because the reality of the matter is we still live in New Jersey, right? And, you know, we need to come up with some reality that New Jersey, you know, the people vote for the reason that they vote for. There's a reason why we one of the most segregated, if not the most segregated state in the country. But you know,
Rockman, I think we definitely have the numbers in Essex County. We just don't come out and vote.
well, listen, I'm gonna say it again. If the man could come out and endorse Chris Christian, you know what I'm saying? I need y'all to understand, because I don't want y'all to believe like all of a sudden black people, because of Rad Baraka, they're gonna get some kahunas. Like, I just don't want y'all, like, the team Baraka will, we don't care. You know what I'm saying? But the man's not running for county exec. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want y'all to believe like there's these black and brown people out here ready to rise up, other than Team Baraka, by the way, and say, hey, we need to make these changes, right? I don't want y'all to believe that, because I'm gonna say it again. You know, we you know, in a Democratic majority county, by the way, which is overwhelmingly Democrat, our county exec supported a governor that was kicking black folks behind. So we clear about that. I want y'all to understand that, by the way. Chris Christie was kicking black communities behind.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
That was disgusting.
And our county
Black
exec,
clergy supported that mess too. That was disgusting.
exactly. That's my point. And our count, and nobody penalized them for that. They lose 1 ounce of sleep over it, by the way. There was no, if there was any momentum, if people was going to do anything, you would have think when that occurred, folks would have been like, hold up, wait a minute, nah, we can't mess with you. You went out here endorsing Chris Christie for re-election. Like, how are you a Democrat? You know what I mean? How are you for our community? You would think that people would have responded then. There was no response. These people still in prayer. He got even more powerful. I mean, like, we are in fear. Like, these people was in fear. So I don't want you to believe that for no stretch of the imagination, that we all of a sudden, because Mayor Baraka did a great showing, believe me, they're trying to downplay his showing, just so you understand. They're trying to downplay his showing. Don't think for 1 minute, because he did this great showing, that all of a sudden these people woke up and said, oh my God, look what we can do. We're going to rise up. We're going to go such and such. I don't believe that. Like, they're going to have to show me, because I don't believe it. You know what I'm saying? Because they have not proven it in the past. And if those individuals up there was worried about that, then the vendor contract would change overnight.
Got that right.
It would change overnight. I want you to understand that. The black and brown businesses,
100%.
it would go from less than 1% to 10, 15% overnight. I need y'all to understand that. And people was really worried and concerned about that. But they're not, because they know that all they have to do is keep us divided, keep us in separate camps, keep us worrying about who got this and this one ain't got this, and making people
keep
like
us with our hands out.
The same thing that has always happened with black people across this country. They make us the problem. They focus on us. They say, you worry about your seat. They'll turn around here and run a candidate against me. By the way, and I'm hoping they do, because we're going to bust their butt. You know what I'm saying? Just so you can say, oh, we're going to make them think, but we don't run one against them.
Mm.
This is just like, at what point do we just rise up and say, no, not going to happen? Not, you know why Steve Adebraado built a relationship with me? You know why he built a relationship with me in 2007? Because we came together and we ran a Daddy Cares, a school board election, and we beat him.
Mm-hmm.
And we beat him because we all came together. And he didn't know what was, I'm telling y'all what he told, I'm telling you what he told me out of his mouth. All these people were saying, me and Steve had great conversation. I'm telling you what he told me out of his mouth. I'm telling you what out of his mouth, what he told me. You know what I'm saying? What he told me, not no third hand, not no second hand, not my opinion. I'm telling you the conversations me and him had. The reason why he built the relationship with me was because of that race. He didn't understand. He was trying to figure out what happened. Why did you do that? Why did you bring all of those people together? Because he lost that race. And he was trying to figure out, he was saying, listen, this is a kid that I had to have a relationship with now. This young man, I got to build some sort of, even if it's a bad one, I got to have some relationship with him.
He said, who is that uncircumcised Philistine? That's what he did. He's seen you, Ron. Ron, what did anything about New York before we let you go? Before we leave?
Listen, man, I think people rose up, and I hope this brother win. I'm gonna be real with you. Like I hear all these people worry, oh, we got this socialist about to be the mayor, we got to stop him now. Come on, everybody trying to come together. They want to team up against this guy. Here we go again. But we got people in our party that want to suppress progress.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Watch the black Democrats in New York City.
He's not a socialist.
Mark my word. Watch the black Democrats in New York City.
Oh, I agree.
They're traitorous as hell. They're dirty as hell. Watch them.
Listen, they're gonna do everything, keep running around trying to scare up the world that he's a black socialist. No, he wants progress. He want to try to help people. He want to try to make sure young folks is able to afford their living. He want to try to make sure seniors able to afford it. We able to afford our living.
Baggage when Ras won.
All they want to do is paint you as being extreme, but yet we can bail out billion-dollar corporations. We can send billions of dollars worth of bombs over in Iran and bomb a mountain. By the way, you know what I'm saying?
Take away Meals on Wheels.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. And then take away Medicaid, but we just drop billions of dollars worth of bombs on a mountain. You know what I'm saying? But we don't care, but we don't have enough to take care of poor people or find a way to turn around and have affordable housing and make sure that prices and make sure people make a decent living. Like, we can't turn around here and do these things. But yet, when it comes down to war, when it comes down to bailing people out, he done messed up the farmers. Now he's going to bail out the farmers because he don't put these tariffs that's hurting the farm. Now he got to give them money. So it's always money for those type of things. But when it comes down to a candidate like the brother in New York who say, I want to turn around and increase the pay and minimum wage. I want to turn around and make sure housing is affordable. Oh, we can't afford, that's too much. We can't afford none of that stuff. That's too much. And then we get people that get afraid of it, and they supposed to also be Democrats. Well, if you're not about progress, I thought we was about progress. And if we're not about that, then why are we running around here with the D on our back talking about what we are?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Watch them black Democrats. They're gonna fall in behind Eric Adams and his Trump behind.
And he's the one that started it off. He's the one that started off in New York. Under this, they have in NYCHA 8,600 vacant apartments with people on a waiting list. 8,600. Ridiculous.
Here's a brother that was running last that had over 50,000 people in the streets volunteering with him. Now you telling me that's not a movement? Now you telling me that, I mean, the fact that the nerve of you to have any black Democrat that will come out and fight against that, everybody should rebel against that individual.
That's right.
To me, Clyburn should have stayed out of it. When I heard Clyburn endorse Cuomo, I was like, what is he doing?
Right.
What is he doing?
And
you know
why?
what I'm saying? Why and why? Why do we want to suppress that kind of movement?
When Bernie Sanders was beating his behind.
Why would we want to suppress that type of movement? What are we getting out of that? How does that
Master.
benefit you, Clyburn?
Master, we sick? Master, we sick?
Yeah. It is now 9:01. I knew this was going to be a lively discussion. Thank you so much for coming on, because I knew
But
I knew
before you
exactly what
leave,
kind of discussion we were going to have.
before you leave, Rock, when you're making them pastrami's, who you listening to now? What hip hop artists you listen to when you making them
Man, I'm not
pastrami
listening to
cheese?
hip hop, man. I was listening to the Whispers today because my man died, man.
Yes,
Walter Scott.
I'm not listening to none of this hip hop because I don't know what they
Yeah.
talking about, man.
you listen to Say Yes,
Oh
Cardi
my
B said they
the
God.
Chocolate
outside.
Girl.
Cardi B said they outside. I don't know what they doing, man. I'm trying to find out they outside doing what.
Yeah.
That was a play on out.
Yes, sir. Yes. Out to the rest. Yeah,
Well,
that's one.
well,
Walter
thank you.
Scott, one of the twins.
I know. Well, so there are final announcements because we're getting ready to go off on the. So Donnie, do you have announcements? Zai, do you have announcements?
Donna, go first. I'll go
I was
last.
going to say all roads lead. You going to Trenton tomorrow?
No.
Rockman?
Yeah, unfortunately, because I have a business, I was about to say a baby, but my business is my baby.
It's my baby. That's right.
You know what I'm saying? It ain't but so much I can do anymore when it comes to those type of things. I actually got a family reunion tomorrow down at
Beautiful. Never had one.
down at Robert Treat Hotel, so I gotta attend that tomorrow. So yeah, now I won't be. Unfortunately, I won't be there. But I just want, John. I know you about to leave. I just want to say one quick thing about that though, because I just think that I don't know about a black agenda. I got to be honest with y'all. I've always had an issue with people who tell me they getting together, come up with a black agenda, because I always say, well, who black agenda we talking about? You know what I'm saying? Because everybody's black agenda ain't my black agenda. And I think that we lose people when people come up with a black agenda that don't really address what the majority of black folks need, or the majority. So I'm hoping that the folks that's getting together tomorrow to come up with a black agenda, and I know that the mayor's going to be there, so I know he's going to be one of the ones that do it. They make sure they coming up with an agenda that benefits the majority of our people.
Right.
Thankful. So with that being said, all roads lead to Trenton tomorrow. If you want to have some input on a statewide meeting for the Black Agenda, it will be held at Greater Mountain Zion AME Church, 42 Pennington Avenue in Trenton, New Jersey at 12:30 noon. Oh, there we go. Look at that.
All right, Zai, and then we'll end off with Asia. Zai, do you have any announcements?
Two things. One, there is an exhibit on Muslims in Newark at Express Newark that's going to start tomorrow at about 10:30, and then at 12:30 I have to be in Jersey City for a gathering that's being organized by Billmore Unity. That's one of Chris Duran's organization that'll be focusing on reparations, political prisoners, and Palestinian solidarity. That's going to be at the Mary McLeod Bethune Center on Martin Luther King Boulevard at 12:30. So that's and tomorrow is the anniversary of Malcolm X launching the Organization of Afro-American Unity at the Audubon Ballroom and back in 1964. This year is the centennial of Malcolm X. X is in Malcolm is the answer.
All right, Asia, anything else?
Yeah, so I don't have any events, but just to agree with Rock in terms of us Black folks, we're not monolithic, and sometimes that's where we go astray. And so it's not only who's going to be there, but who's not going to be there, and how do their voices get captured. But yeah, Black folks, we're not monolithic whatsoever, and it has nothing to do with necessarily like, oh, you're from Newark and you're from like South Jersey. It's also just like race, class, a whole bunch of other stuff. And so just wanted to say that. I agree.
All right, and thank you to all our guests that we've had, the disciples. Thank the
Anthony Smith.
Right, Anthony Smith. Thanks to the head of Newark's Boys and Girls Club. Very much appreciated coming on, and Rahaman Muhammad and our activist friend. Thank you all. And, yeah, and until next week. Be safe.